So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon seem inevitable. Christopher Reeve. 30th December 2010. Foundation ceremony of Gujarat's solar park. "12 months later, 28th January 2012. 214 megawatts of solar power commissioned at world's first multi-developer, multi-facility, multi-technology, multi-beneficiary solar park at Charanka village, District Patan, Gujarat. 19th April 2012. Gujarat dedicates 500 megawatt power generation capacity to the nation, as Asia's largest solar park is formally inaugurated in Gujarat.
We are doing this mainly to contribute in the war against global warming and climate change.
The story of Gujarat's solar park is a historic feat in itself. Visualized, planned, and swiftly implemented in record time of under a year, the most notable aspects were its execution and the political willingness to go the extra mile. A plethora of complexities had to be resolved before the park could see the light of day. Acquiring land, developing infrastructure, and handing over plots to individual developers had to be done simultaneously, while sensitively handling the issue of encroachment of land pockets by locals. Approach and internal roads had to be built. Reservoirs and systems for storing, treating and distributing water had to be created. The project site fronted the desert of Kutch, and harsh weather conditions proved to be major constraints, with frequent flooding and the remoteness of the village adding to construction costs. Total quality management played a crucial part in achieving the success of the project with a regularly monitored, web-based system specially developed to ensure the timely accessibility of both data and information. While 1,500 laborers diligently worked round the clock, developers were taken into confidence through periodic meetings where they were updated regarding the project's development and revisions at every stage. A team of experienced officials were available on-site 24/7 to promptly address clearance and approval issues. This helped to eliminate redundancies and reduce the duplication of efforts. Activities were completed within the scheduled time frame as every member of the project worked steadfastly around bottlenecks and ensured that the project was commissioned within schedule. A win-win project for all segments, the solar park saw many far-reaching consequences. Uniquely integrating environment, infrastructure and social perspectives, the park led to vast areas of government wasteland being put to good use with gainful employment benefiting larger rural sections and communication networks and irrigation water flowing through villages.
This innovative approach will contribute to India's energy requirements and will create jobs and welfare without generating additional greenhouse gas emissions.
As a prime example of energy conservation, with rainwater harvesting, carbon emission reduction and groundwater recharge happening on a continual scale, the Gujarat Solar Park at Charanka bears testimony to one truth, that harnessing divine energies is the only way forward. And having the courage to go beyond one step today is the only way to a better tomorrow. Gujarat Solar Park at Charanka, partnering a journey of brilliance.
I'm very happy that there's great and tremendous support for the second India Power and Energy Conclave here. May I first request our dignitaries on the dais to come and take their positions. May I first request Dr. Prakasham Tata to come on the stage. Please give them a big hand. We want energy here. May I now request Dr. Yogendra Prasad to come over on the dais. These two are our most senior-most guest today and stalwarts. Dr. Prakasham Tata is a PhD, DCS, QEP Emeritus and the Executive Director at the Center for Transformation of Waste Technology at Wheaton, Illinois, USA. And he's also a distinguished professor of Environmental Studies at the Maharaja Institute of Medical Sciences in Vizianagaram district in Andhra Pradesh. Please welcome him today with a big clap. Dr. Yogendra Prasad, whatever said about him is less. He is an institution in India on the power sector, a man who propelled the hydropower development in the country, and during his tenure, India had close to 30% share of hydropower, and now we have fallen down to 17, and he tells me that is 16%. So he was the pillar of hydropower growth, and we'll say why hydropower is critical for the country's success and moving in the power sector today. And he was the chairman of that organization. He also headed as the vice president of the International Hydro Association, and was also the president in India of the Indian National Hydro Association in the past. He's also the winner of the Lifetime Achievement at the 7th Energia Awards 2013 given in November last year. Please give him a big hand. He's come all the way from Delhi. May I now request our old friend and somebody whom we admire, Shri P.H. Rana, Director and Advisor to Gujarat Power Corporation Limited, and he needs no introduction. Everybody in Gujarat knows him. He is the man. Power sector of Gujarat is associated with Rana Sahab and vice versa. Rana Sahab, please welcome you today. The next, I would request our very good friend, somebody whom I admire, and who is also the winner of the Energia Awards for transmission sector in the year 2012. It is none other than Sri Sundar Kumar Negiji, who is transforming the country's transmission sector. He's laid the national example and international example in. Please give him a big hand. Then may I request my very good friend from Green Billions, Shri Vinit Jain. Where is Vinit ji? Vinit ji is making waves in the solar sector. He is also a winner of Power Person of the Year Solar in the year 2012. Please welcome. At the Energia Awards, he won this in 2012. Please welcome Vinit Jain ji. Then I have another friend, a wonderful friend who was the Executive Director of BHEL, who moved the solar issues in BHEL. Whatever BHEL has come in or done in solar till date is because of this man. And we have him amongst us coming all the way from Delhi again, Shri Rajiv Kumar Srivastava, ex-Executive Director, BHEL, and now the Director of Ujas Energy Limited. Please welcome him. Please come over, sir. Then I would like to call Dr. B.G. Desai. I don't think in Gujarat he will need an introduction, but Dr. B.G. Desai was the man who moved the R&D issues and the growth of in Jyoti Limited, Baroda, the company I started my career with. And he is a man who has a lot of laurels to his credit. He also chaired GEDA committees, was advisor to GEDA for several years, and I think the energy efficiency issues and I would say issues related to electrical side in a lot of the industry has moved because of Dr. B.G. Desai. Please give him once again a big hand. We have amongst us, I think today, see, I don't want this all-men team. I would love to see a India situation, maybe a 60-40, but we have one lady who is with us and she also needs no introduction. She is Avi Sabawala, the president of the Vadodara Chamber of Commerce and Industries, and we are very thankful as Energia that she was kind enough to say that we are with you and they are our partners today as the Industry Association. Please welcome Avi Sabawala ji to the stage and please give a big hand. This must be more powerful. Gurdeep Singh ji, the Chairman and Managing Director of the Managing Director of GSCC Gujarat, but a man who knows a lot about the country's generation issues, and we have him amongst us, and it is a wonderful panel right now. I don't think you can get such a good panel when you go around. We have been doing a lot of seminars, but this is one of the finest panels that we have, and next 2 or 3 hours this panel should enthrall the audience and also give us an insight into where we must go. Because I'll tell you the purpose of this entire meeting. The purpose of this entire meeting is to finally come out within the next 2 months on a white paper on the power sector in India, and especially focusing on renewable energy, solar and smart grid in particular, and I hope that we are able to do justice for it today. So welcome you all, sir. I would request that for the lighting of the lamp, all our dignitaries on the dais, I'll give you a little bit of trouble. Please come down, sir, towards the lamp. Please give a big hand. Please encourage them. The energy must not end. It must sustain. Thank you everybody. Today we declare this second India Power and Energy Conclave open.
So my friends, let me throw off some data for you today, because most important that before we go ahead, we must know what's happening to the country in the electricity sector. Let me also before that introduce all of our guests, who we have already introduced, but I must tell you that the sequence of this program has to be explained before I start. What we are going to do is, we are going to have a short presentation by Dr. Tata, and Dr. Tata would enthrall you, and you will actually push your minds to a different dimension first. And after he does that, I will have my friend Vineet to say a few words on how he thinks related to renewable energy situation, because he has to go. So I want him to speak first, and some other persons from his organization would join. Maybe Mr. Bhardwaj will join us. Yes. So then the sequence will go like that. Then we'll have Yogendra Prasad ji to throw the light on the situation. He is going to give you information which frankly spoken people have not even thought about or even imagined, but he will talk about the state of India's power sector, and also talk about how renewables, and especially hydropower as a renewable, is important. And then we will go on, we'll get our Mr. Negi Saab, Gurdeep Singh ji and Rana Saab, starting with Rana Saab, a view on the Gujarat success. Of course, see, they would like to talk on India, and I want them to do that, but we also want to know how Gujarat has achieved certain things in a good way, because that model has to be explained here as well, because we are going with a white paper. We would like that to come in the white paper document as official. And then we'll go along, we'll call Aviji to do a summation in between, and then we'll open the panel and we'll have Dr. Desai and others commenting. So it's a panel discussion. There will be definite situation of interaction. And in this, today we have a second half where we can see a GPCL presentation on solar. We will see a Sardar Sarovar presentation of solar. We have Dr. UC Jain here, so he will be giving a presentation on the solar issue, on the hydro issues. Of course, the Narmada project has done something wonderful. They have also done the first time canal top solar, and that's being expanded to another 10 megawatt first, and it's first time in the world. So please give a big hand to that kind of a situation. First time in the world. And that project, Sardar Sarovar, is the winner of this year's 7th Enersha Awards for the best hydro project. This award has been won, the Enersha Awards, by Narmada project. It won for the 3 years. So in the 7 years of the award, thrice the Narmada project has been declared as the best project, hydropower project in the country. So you must be very happy in Gujarat, and please give it a big hand. Now let me push some data. I was going through the Ministry of Power data, because I need to say, and the parallels data is the Central Statistic Organization of the National Central Statistics Organization, or the NSO, the National Statistics Organization Central Division, which actually also provides data, and that is the latest updated data of 2013 that is available to us. So I am trying to compare this situation. So as far as the Ministry of Power website goes, we are at 229 gigawatt of power as on date, of which now first division I am giving you what is happening to the center, what is happening to the state, and what is the role of the private sector. We need to know the shares. So 90 gigawatt is coming from state sector of the 229 gigawatt, which is a 39.4% share. 66 gigawatt comes from the center resources, which is 28.7%. Now you know the role of the states, how it is shifted. So this used to be very different about 10 years back. If you look at the state's contribution would be below 15%, and the center contribution was much higher. So that is shifted. And now comes the third one, the role of the private sector. So private sector is 73 gigawatt, that is 31.8%. So you see the private sector has also started growing, and it has crossed the contribution by the states now. Of course, if you give a chance to the states, then many of these private projects are in the states. So if you look at a different angle putting this data, and they will also form of the state and the private sector, the data would look different. So that means action has shifted to the states of India. It is no more a central driven power sector in India. It is moving towards a state, I would say, dominated. So if India has 30 states, and I think one more state was formed yesterday. So if we look at that situation, and let us say 15 of them perform, 50% of them, and they do the reforms and do the best, I tell you, we will be a superpower economy, I can assure you that. 50% of the states come to what Gujarat has done. that is surplus power. Gujarat is the first surplus power state of the country. Now Chhattisgarh has followed suit. So this is hard data, which I'm talking about. But difference in Gujarat and Chhattisgarh issues are, Gujarat's power or distribution losses have gone below 15% and is the only state in the country which has done that, for which is one of the place that inertia gives always, that they have been going down further. And Chhattisgarh has a problem because they are still in the region of about 22%, so they have to do more work with their distribution losses. But otherwise, surplus power has come to that state as well. So this is what it is. And now coming to looking at 229 gigawatt in a generation terms, 68% of 229 gigawatt is thermal in terms of installed capacity, of which I would say that if you look at the coal part, 58% would be coal. Rest of it coming from gas and oil. Hydropower share. That's the point, most important point. And hydropower renewable. Luckily, Ministry of Power has now changed the website definition of hydropower. They put renewable. Earlier, they never used to put bracket renewable is written. So I think they've changed their ways now. So they put hydropower renewable. So that is coming to 17.4%. But Prasad Saab differs with me. He says it's come down to 16%. So fine. No, I'm only quoting the Ministry of Power data, what they have written on the website. So I'm quoting that. Now, if you look at renewable energy, this is a good news. Renewable energy sources, which instantly does not include solar, because the solar has to be added to that. But rest of it is 28 gigawatt. It is 12.3%. So maybe we add another 2 gigawatt, it will be about 30 gigawatt already, So that's the situation we are in. And nuclear, which we have been talking a lot, is only 2.08% at 4.8 gigawatt. So this is the nutshell of the situation. And gas-based power 20 gigawatt, we all know that most of these projects are not operating in the country. The biggest project, the Ratnagiri gas and power plant, the famous Dabhol project on which I wrote many articles, which was destroyed by political skullduggery and the worst kind of, I would say, management of, I would say, a project, and looking at that, So that project is today not supplying any power to the grid in Maharashtra. There is no gas. So that's the situation. That's the same situation, I think, of most gas projects. Our generation friends here will tell us. So this is the situation. Now what is the projection? The 12th plan projection of total domestic energy production is predicted to reach 669.6 million tons of oil equivalent, because everything is being converted both from the transport sector need of energy plus the power sector need into million tons of oil equivalent. That is the conventional way of looking at it, but I am quoting the figure. 2016 and 17, that is the figure, 669.6 million tons, and 844 million tons of energy by 2021-22. And this figure, according to inertia estimate, would literally double to 2.5 times by 2032, which is what we are talking about, a timeline that India's 2032 timeline, we're talking of 1 trillion gigawatt hours, gigawatt of electricity installed capacity. So that would go to 2011 million tons of electricity, and I will assure you that we would be at least the third or fourth biggest energy guzzler of the world, following USA, China, and maybe India is right there. That's the type of situation we are going to look at. So look at that situation. This data is interesting. And what is the current situation? Now I look at the power generation, not the million tons of oil. So the current energy generation situation, not installed capacity. Installed is हमने जो लगाया है. Generation is what we are producing and we are pushing into the grid. So that is roughly 69 to 70% of that power generation, which the figures that I got are interesting. It is, as per the CSO, is 1053.9 billion units at this point of time, and of which 69 to 70% comes from coal. That's the figure we need to look. And that's one of the reasons Prasad Saab will tell why the grid is unstable. What's going to happen now, with the new grid code. Now, as per CSO data, why I told you that there is a difference in the government organization itself. Now I give you power sector data to just compare what the Central Statistics Organization is saying, or Central Statistics Office of the NSO, that is National Statistics Organization, is saying that the total gigawatt, I don't know, it was a misprint or what, they written 2012. I don't think it's 2012, it's 2012-13. The data is 236.38 gigawatt installed, right? And in this, captive power is not included. So that they are right. They are saying it is 36.5 gigawatt of additional captive power in the industry. But even this data could be misleading according to me, because we are not adding the cogeneration capacity of the sugar industry in a big way, because that is a situation. I tell you, my own calculation says that easily 800 to 1000 megawatt lie in the state of Maharashtra itself. So if we assess all the states for sugar and cogeneration production, I think we will reach gigawatt scales, so that's not included here. So the data is also not including that. Of which now their data is a little bit different. The thermal power is 66% contributor, and hydro, according to CSO, Sir Prasad Saab, according to them is 19%. So there is a factual difference between this situation, because what we are seeing on the ground is what you are saying, 16.5% or 16%. That's the kind of situation. Now what is our per capita? Now this, I've given you certain data like this. Now I'm coming to what's happening to the per capita consumption of electricity. Now Indians are rich or poor will be defined by not GDP. Like I went to Bhutan, I love their concept of gross national happiness. How people are happy. They don't measure GDPs. So then I was working with some of the Bhutanese. I said, I want to work on a model which can quantify happiness. The problem is we are qualifying happiness, but how do we quantify? So maybe energy is one measure of quantifying happiness. So this is my most interesting view, because I feel energy can quantify the measure of happiness of people. Because बिजली आती है तो लोग खुश हैं, बिजली नहीं आती तो लोग दुखी हैं, पानी नहीं आता तो लोग दुखी हैं. So definitely the measure of happiness can go to that direction. Now in this situation, India's per capita consumption, as far as Ministry of Power and official data goes, is the data is that India per capita consumption is 879 units or kilowatt hour. But actually the inertia data, what we last research we did about a month back, is 929 units per capita. So that is the right figure, 929 units per capita. And what is the US? And let's look at some of the advanced countries, because that's where we're talking about, we need to look at it. US per capita consumption is 15,000 units or kilowatt hour. So watch that. Now comes, okay, let's look at China, favorite bashing boys for me, but favorite comparison boys for all of you, right? Our neighbors, I would say more, according to it, I have a different view, okay, that I don't want to talk now, we'll talk later in the day. They have 4,000 kilowatt hour per capita. So I was having, because the data was not available to me a month back, that time I thought it was 2,200, but I was wrong. I found that they were not releasing data, so I somehow found it out that their data is going to this level, 4,000, and that is there's a relevance to that in terms of the GDP data that I'll give you next units. And what is about Germany? Because Germany is the model, it's a country, technology-wise or philosophy-wise or their conservative approach-wise, there is a lot of similarity between what India does. They are at 9,000 kilowatt hour units per capita. These are the figures for what? So where we are 925, right? Now comes the GDP figures of these countries. This is interesting. The GDP figure for India is 1.97 trillion US dollars. So let's say 2 trillion, we'll give them 2 trillion, we'll give India 2 trillion, we come there. That for the US is a massive 16 trillion US dollars. So I don't know what we will be comparing in this case. Germany, some comparison comes in. And what is the position of US? US is number 1. Position of Germany is number 3. I'm going a little haphazard because I'm not talking about number 2 now. I'll tell you the number 2. Germany is 3.6 trillion US dollar in GDP terms, right? Look at my figures of measure of energy and GDP. You will see a comparison. Japan, although I did not give the electricity figures of Japan, but at least I want to give is at the 3rd position. Sorry, Germany is 4th, Japan is 3rd. Japan is 5 trillion US dollars. So ahead of Germany. And 5 years back, Japan was behind Germany. I have given these figures in the past as well. So 5 years back, my friend, Japan was behind Germany. Now they are ahead. And who is at the number 2 position? Watch that walking giant. 9 trillion US dollars, China. So let's not fool ourselves also. Although Chinese model is highly skewed, let's not fool ourselves on data. Let us accept that data is real. What is the disparity amongst the poor in China and poor in India? I would say the poor in both countries are devastated. They are in bad shape. They are probably worse than us in some places, I can tell you. The poor in India have better rights than the poor in China. And access to electricity is better. But What are we doing? We are again removing our people from the grid. I'll give you this figure. Prasad Saab will second, later on. Of the 240 gigawatt of installed capacity that according to CSO is there, we are only actually generating 130 gigawatt, my friends. How we are keeping India into the dark and sending them to the dark. This is the worst thing. And this is what we must question. I don't want to name parties or people, but I'm very stunned that nobody is talking about it. Nobody is coming in public domain and talking on these lines. बिजली पानी सड़क में पहला तो यही काम होना चाहिए ना कि देश को तुम कितने अंधकार में भेज रहे हो. That situation nobody is talking. So with these figures you will see, if you just compare the 879 units to 929 units range of India versus the 4,000 units range of China. Look at a $2 trillion GDP of India, look at a $9 trillion GDP of China, you clearly know what's happening. What's happening to your economy, what's happening to your manufacturing, and we are the soft economy. What we are doing, I'm not against the IT sector, but we have become the back office of the whole world. Why I am highly critical. Show me even a good company like Infosys, show me an original software designed by Infosys which is used by the world community. At least the Tatas have been responsible at TCS to develop Tally, a major global accounting software. But I have not seen Infosys doing it, I have not seen Wipro doing it. So what are we tom-tomming about, today? So I think these organizations must become critical of themselves and they say something should come out of our stable. Just becoming back office of the world is not going to help. So what happened? We became soft office of the world, just doing their back-end work, and our programmers were simply white-collar workers or blue-collar workers just going up. So that is the hard situation. We lost electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, chemical engineers to the IT sector. I remember in my campus interview when we came, Pertec Computers and Hindustan Computers Limited, they wanted to select everybody. They also gave me a, kind of a letter. I went and fought with my proctor, who, in our case, the proctor was the man who would send you, the training officer. I fought with him. I said, I will not allow these guys to interview me and take me, So that was the fight I did at my engineering college. Then they penalized me. They said, no, we will give you the last opportunity to come to the campus. I said, okay, done. And then they forced me into an interview of Simco Birla Limited, where I did not want to join. I refused to take the appointment letter and I joined Jyoti. That is the history. So I will tell you, so right there, they catch hold of you and push you where you should not go. So this is also supposed to stop. And there must be some conviction in what we are doing. So I always wanted to be a mechanical engineer. I became one, and later on now I am dealing with something else, with all that knowledge. I'm lucky that I got all those exposures and went my way. But how many people go their way, I do not know, and will have the ability to do that, or will have the will and the backup to do that. With this few data, but one last data I want to throw out of energy resources. The country we are saying is energy poor. My friends, I'm sorry I'm giving a data on coal, which is not my favorite subject. I would love to give a data on solar, because according to me solar can power the whole country, but it's difficult to do that without hydropower that Prasad Saab will do. Solar is still static state power. It's like it will only come up and take your economy to a different direction on the rural side, bring solid state power. When I say solid state power is base load, not peaking power. We need a peaking load. We need quick coming onto the grid and going out of the grid, which is what gas and hydro will do, but gas is costly. So we are looking at hydro. Now, out of this, what is some critics say 299 billion cannot be used. So I said, okay, fine. Authenticated data by central organization, including Coal India and other, is we can easily draw today on an as various condition basis 125 billion tons of coal. So why we are not increasing production? What is happening? Why the country is importing? And you will know the figures. India for the last 2 years is the highest global importer of coal ahead of China. Now you will be surprised. Professor is throwing some controversial data. How can it be when China consumes so much electricity? I will give you the other data of China. China is today mining and producing 4.1 billion tons of coal, my friends. And their need is 4.3 to 4.4 billion tons. So they barely import a little bit for themselves. So that comes to about 25 to 30 million tons of coal. So obviously India is becoming the highest coal importer. And I can assure you, global prices of coal are not going to go down because there is a huge shortage in the international market. It is your internal coal that can be only used. You cannot use, and US has large reserves. But Dr. Tata will tell us whether that they will take up that coal in Kentucky, where they have enough coal to fuel the whole world. But there are issues, nobody will allow that mining, and there are reasons for that. US gas will come out for sure, but not coal. So with this little briefing, there are a lot of things I can tell you, but this is just to open your eyes to what is the economic statistical situation of India, what is the conflict of data, what we are not talking about, that we are 80 gigawatt short, and the Planning Commission data says we are 13% off. That is I tell you, big disservice to the nation when we talk like that, because the last 2 5-year plans have literally taken us back by a non-performance of something like 60 gigawatt, 70 gigawatt, and add the backlog of the previous plans of about 20 gigawatt, you are already 80, 90 gigawatt short, my friend. It does not need rocket science to understand this. So with this, I throw open today's discussion, and to begin this and fire up your imagination and enthrall you and further wake you up, may I call Dr. Prakasham Tata to come over on the dais and talk to you people. Please welcome Dr. Tata.
I am not Professor Iyer. Good morning. I need to hear you guys. Come on. Be spirited. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Now you are in sync with me. See, whenever I talk with the Krishna Iyer, he always surprises me with his beaming voice, a lot of conviction. He throws his statistics, unbelievable statistics. And my mamuli admi hu. I don't deal with billions of tons of coal or gigawatts or even megawatts for that matter to study in the United States of America environmental sciences and engineering. So at that time I was 19 years of age when I started in this field, and as a young scientist when I started with the Central Public Health Engineering Research Institute, I was talking to my seniors. I was a junior scientific officer, and India is blessed with so much of sunshine. My name is also Sunshine, Surya Prakasham. And why can't we tap the solar energy so that our energy crunch will be not there in the future? But at that time, we are trying to emulate the US, Germany, England to write papers on whatever they are doing. And my inspiration comes from villages. I worked for 7 years before I went to the United States. So I feel a little bit right now, after my retirement in 2012, deliberately retired, to do something on an individual basis, what the heck I can do. So what my talk is going to be about what a single person can do. These are some of the random thoughts. I was thinking about it. Particularly, I am very active in the field of water and sanitation, and also part of that is energy concerns, how to run sewage treatment plants, and other opportunities associated with the sewage treatment plants. So I quickly, after talking with Krishna Iyer and Hetal Mehta, my good friends, then I said, what can I say when these stalwarts are here from Government of India and like Yogesh Prasad, even I heard his name, my goodness, these are the stalwarts. Although I'm a very senior in advanced age, at the age of 78, 79 right now, I'm sticking like a sore thumb as the oldest guy. But a lot of spirit though to do things. So my challenge was, I have taken so much from India, and I spent more than roughly, actually more than half of my life in the United States. So what can I do as an individual to my country of birth? And also to the country which adopted me. So this is my passion. So I quickly put some thoughts together. Renewable energy, some random thoughts of a lone ranger. I'm not going to talk about terawatts or gigawatts. Very little. A small guy like I am. What are my thoughts? Put the renewables to work, get an exhaustible and pollution-free energy. Because I'm an anti-pollution guy. When you talk about coal or anything else, even nuclear, they say it is non-polluting, but I'm scared of it. With 3 Mile Island explosion that we heard about, and then Chernobyl accidents, there is a lot of safety issues concerned with it. But if you have some renewables which are pollution-free, that's what I would like to concentrate my life on. Okay, this is my spirit. Well, you guys deal about these big gigawatts and terawatts. I'm talking about little 41 lamps and things like that. So many think that as individuals who are powerless can't do much. Think about this. You all can do individually, without the help of the government or anybody else. You can do it. I will prove it to you that I'm doing it. Well, atoms are very small. So are viruses. Look at what they can do for you. They unleash the unbound energy. If you think you're too small to make a difference, this is what Dalai Lama said. Try sleeping with a mosquito. Okay, so you can do things. Don't be persuaded by somebody else, hey, government is not doing anything, hey, what can you do? No. As an individual you can do. IR is doing something. As a journalist, is bringing in all these facts and figures which are needed for planning. You need them. They're essential. So we need those figures. At the same time, where we are lagging behind, you should know. These are the correct figures that India has to generate. And nobody is going to give this talk like World Bank or this guy, that guy. No, you have to develop these figures. What is the moral of the story of Ram Setu and the squirrel? You know the story, right? Anybody who read Ramayana? When the Ram Setu was being built, there was a squirrel like me, which is just going to the sea, turning around, and then bringing the sand and putting the Setu. I consider myself as a little squirrel, this entire spectrum of energy situation. So my thought is, what the heck I can do as an individual? That is the way I'm thinking. Okay, now some statistics again. I'm sorry. This is before Gopal Krishna Iyer illuminated me with this, bamboozled me with all these big statistics. I want your paper, sir, because I have some very, very good energy friends in Hyderabad. They are quoting some figures. They think it is the latest. But I'm going to show those things also. I want you to correct them because I think you are the source of good data, I think, personally, from the way you are speaking. But anyway, Planning Commission's estimated energy savings potential of renewable energy sources by sector is agriculture, 30% potential is there, industrial is 25%, transportation is 20%, domestic and commercial is 20%. Economy as a whole, you can get up to 23% of energy from the renewable source of energy, which I think we should tap as much as possible because this is, I think, is an energy that can be obtained for much lower cost than other technologies. These are simple technologies that you can emulate, and then we can have these kinds of things. Again, I request your indulgence, Gopal Krishnan, to correct these numbers for me, if you could. Again, some of the statistics, the 2012-13, like these were the recent thing. A friend of mine who is dabbling with energy issues in Hyderabad, I quickly called him and he said, okay, I will give you some data. And these are the numbers. Wind, in megawatts, about 1700, and cumulatively so far we produced, it seems, 19,000. Small hydro, Saji, 237 megawatts and 3,600. Biomass, 114, 1264 cumulatively. Bagasse cogeneration, 2,337, but cumulative so far. Waste of power by burning garbage and stuff, 96.08. Solar power, 1696.44. The total is 28.068 megawatts. This is the kind of production I think it is there given to me. Again, this needs to be revised as per the things that you want. Can an individual do something what he really likes to do and bring about some little or big change in what we desire? Yes, I think so. This is what this guy said from Port Bandar. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Mahatma Gandhi, just in this country, in this state of Gujarat, to produce a great sun. Potential of energy from waste. See, this is the thing. I was born probably 3 years before he made this statement. That time he said, Gandhiji said, with 400 million people and 300 million cattle and other animals, goats, chickens, you combine everything, that passes number 2. India should not be short of energy and fertilizer needs. This is what he said in 1939. Today, we are 1.2 billion people, probably 1 billion cattle, so many goats and so many big chickens, not those little country chickens. They produce a lot of crap. 0.2 pounds of nice soil we exceed every day. Probably that number should be revised because I see a lot of plum people in this country now because they're eating well. I'm talking about the figures of my time. So if you combine 1.2 times 0.2, that many pounds of nice soil, a pound of nice soil, volatile soil destroyed gives you 12 cubic feet of gas, of which 63% is methane. Now you combine all the number. How much of biogas is there in that? Tremendous amounts of. But where the heck all this is going? Today, we have more cell phones in this country than toilets. Look at this happy guy, what he's doing. And if all the crap is collected, that people like him is sending it out to the Mother Earth, which again gets into our feet when the monsoon comes in, and then you have 80% of the disease in the villages are waterborne. All that thing will go. If we can collect all this stuff and produce the biogas itself, you have so much of energy in that. But why can't we do this? I think we are not good marketeers, like people like me who are dabbling with sewage, industrial waste, water supply issues, and sludge, biosludge they call them, the sexy word for sludge. What we are doing is we're trying to find out the technologies, but we are not good marketeers. But look at the cell phone guys, what they're doing. How can you market these toilets in a decentralized fashion so that each village has a center of a biosolids collection and production of biogas in that village, so that something can be done, like a chopper, a grinder or something to do a village industry, while avoiding waterborne diseases. Think about it. As an individual, if you come from a village, think about it, my friends. When you retire, you do that like what I'm trying to do. The one of a kind in India and perhaps in the world happened by one man's vision, and that guy is the chief minister of this state. Look at him, solar panels over Narmada River Canal, Chandrasan, Mehsana district, inaugurated April 24, 12 by Honorable Modi. This is what it is. You have canals here. What a brilliant idea. You cover the solar panels and then generate electricity. What will happen? It has some secondary benefits. Look at this. The power generation, this pilot project is 1.6 megawatts per annum. This distance of canal covered with PVs is 750 meters. Estimated cost of 1 megawatt generated is rupees 10 to 12 crores. Water evaporation losses reduction, 95 million gallons per annum. Like, water is precious in this country. And that much water loss is avoided by not only these solar panels while generating electricity, you are going to have your cake and eat it too by this kind of a design. And land saved. In Germany, of course, you see acres and acres and acres, hectares of solar panels. But here, how much of land is saved by this simple exercise? 11,000 acres. Land is precious. This morning, my friend Vinod was dropping me off. He was telling me that something like 35,000 or 40,000 rupees a square yard in this neighborhood here. How much of land you look at that? Potential power generation for 10% of the existing canal network would be about 2,200 megawatts. Maybe, sir, you can correct me if I'm not wrong. Okay, as an individual, I thought I'll put my energy, because I can't do that. If I give $1 or 1 rupee as a Rotarian, I can raise $3 or 3 rupees by the power of matching grants. I'm proud to be a Rotarian. After I joined this, I was thinking what to do. As a man, I can do something or what? There are good people who can donate money, but they don't know what to do. I'll write a check for you, take it, please don't bother me because I'm old, blah, 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 blah. All right, you write a check and give it to me, I will do it for you in your name. So I found my Rotary Club is to be very interesting and they're very charitable. I am a rabble rouser like Iyer. So I didn't went up, just asked them, what can you do for me? So I did some other projects, water projects, but this is a project that I thought is appropriate for this kind of a panel, this kind of a audience here. So I did some solar lights project. These people are all villagers in Madhya Pradesh, because you have to find good volunteers to work with. Any charitable type of work you do, any non-governmental work you do, you need clones of yourself. You may give any amount of money, but it won't work if the people are right and working for a salary. But if you have passion to do it with your heart, you can make things happen. Okay? So here is something that I did in 8 villages. I will show you the statistics of this. This is what we have. I obtained a matching grant of $25,000. In other words, if I gave them $8,000, I raised another $17,000. The households benefited is 480. One solar lantern distributed to each household. You know, in these villages, I went and sat with them. I worked with them, and they told me that they spend 130 rupees per month to buy their kerosene for one lantern. And I told them, if I gave you a solar lantern and you lease it for 60 rupees, I will double your light for 6 hours. And your kids can study and do their homework. What a great deal. Only thing is, you have to bring the solar lantern in the morning to the charging station, and then two ladies, very poorly educated, but they have the brains like anybody else. We train them. They will charge the lanterns to you. In the evening, you will come back and take it back to your houses and then use it, and then bring it back next day. What a deal for them. Half the price, double the light. And I'm a good beggar. I don't want to beg unless I have a thing to do. So I went to Terry with my good friend Jeevan Prakash Sundi, who is even older than me, 84 years old guy. Prakashji, you raise the money, I will sit there and do it, the project. That guy was living in Detroit. He has no business to come here to Chitrakoot in this area in Madhya Pradesh, but he did it. By God bless him. He went to the Tata Energy Resources Institute because I was there at Solar Conclave when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh released this 1 billion light camp or something like that. That idea stuck in my mind. So I said, why don't you go to Terry and ask for some money? Not just like that. We did this project and showed it to them, and guess what? They gave us $75,000 worth of equipment to be installed in another 36 villages. Now we have 44 villages and 10,500 people got benefited. Little bit of help on my side, not gigawatts, not megawatts, not terawatts or whatever. But whatever Prakash Tata couldn't do with other people, I want to do that. That's what we did. And I went directly this time, coming from Chicago, directly to Delhi and then to Chitrakoot. Guess what? 20 of these 44 villages got electricity. And they were complaining that they were getting maybe half an hour, 1 hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes. They bought television sets already, but no electricity. Then my solar lantern will come in handy when there is no light. Another small and decentralized project. I'm interested in decentralizing things. Little things can be done in villages. You may have a power grid. If that thing fails, what is going to happen to the whole country? It happened in New York City. And then the population increased in the next 9 months. They recreated themselves when the lights were off. And I said, we will use smokeless chullas. This is another way of conserving energy. They are burning so much of fuel, cow dung, this and that, all the crap that they collect from the villages on 3 stones and open flame. The transfer of efficiency of e-heat is only 10 to 11%. Where we give the solar smokeless chullas, the energy efficiency will be transferred to 60-70%. So you're conserving energy for the same calorific value that's contained in the biomass. That's what we did. In the same 480 villages, because being an environmentalist, I want to eliminate the smoke pollution in those huts and these poor tenements up there. So we got the smallest smokeless chullas made, and again they provided some employment for the villagers. Two people were building these things, but this entire 480 homes in these 8 villages. So these are these things that we have, and that is the chimney. This is very primitive technology, but then we can eliminate 80 to 90% of the smoke with this kind of system. I mean, if everybody thinks a little bit like Gandhi, I think, and I also add one more little thing to it, if we produce more than what we consume, you will have plenty in India. Believe me. Watch my word. If you produce more than what you consume, you have a lot more to spare. Thank you and God bless you.
So with this, I would like to now call Vinny Jain to take over the stage and give us a little insight into how solar will proceed.
Good morning, gentlemen, and I thank Professor Saab to give me an opportunity to speak before some of the very distinguished panel here, whom I've had the opportunity also to share the stage with earlier, but all of them are certainly far better than me, and during the course of the day I'm sure you will have excellent interaction with them. Also, I have been called on stage immediately after the very, very powerful address of Dr. Tata. I'm sure that he's transferred a lot of energy to you in his talk, and this would electrify the entire environment. It would be good to see more interaction from the crowd, as Professor Saab said in the beginning. What I want to bring to you on this dais today is an interaction between the industry and the government, the regulators, particularly concentrating on solar, because that is my strong area. I am Chairman and Managing Director of Green Billions, which is a leading solar company in the country. We are among the first 10 solar producers in India. As you know, the JNSM has a very aggressive target, and they are looking at 20 gigawatts of solar in India by 2020. And I think they are doing a great job. They are moving very well on their target. And as we saw in Professor Iyer's lecture, that 12% of energy already comes from renewable sources, which is really a great achievement for India. But unfortunately, less than 2% comes from solar. The government is trying very hard to increase this share, but I think a lot lies in the hands of the people. Solar is one of the only ways of decentralized power. Solar is the only way to bring power to your home individually. You can be your own power generator, you can be your own power distributor and user. So it cuts down a lot of infrastructure, it brings power to areas where infrastructure is difficult to bring, it eases the load on the grid, it also gives an opportunity to reach power to the rural areas, to change lives of people. So it is very relevant to India. India has an excellent amount of solar insulation, and like Dr. Tata said, that how do you bring power to the people? The question of power access. How do you access power? Solar is the most relevant way of accessing power. In India, solar manufacturing started in a big way about 7, 8 years ago. Before that, there were public sector companies which were very active, but in a much smaller way because of the high cost of solar. One of the misnomers that people have is solar is very expensive. It is difficult to afford solar, but I want to bring to your notice that that is not the case anymore. Solar is very affordable. It is a very economic solution to generating power, and also it has huge socio-economic benefits. We are here on this platform to understand how we can bring prosperity to the country by using renewable sources, and solar is one of the most effective ways to do that. Solar manufacturing in India, though, has been suffering. There have been issues of substantial imports from China. It is not that we are not manufacturing as effectively as them. I think our manufacturing is much sharper than them. But there have been several benefits that the industry in China has got from their governments, which in the shape of anti-dumping have been slapped back on them in the EU and in US. And in India, we have been fighting this case for over 2 years, but still the results are not clear. We are hoping that they will also do it. Though I hope India does not make the same mistake as what was made in Europe and the US. They waited too long to have the anti-dumping. As a result of that, their industry almost completely died. And now that they have anti-dumping, they have no backup. So, it is unfortunate that they have anti-dumping, but they don't have manufacturing industry left anymore there. However, research is happening in a very big way, and hopefully that will bring back, a lot of synergy to these places. In India, the NVVN now has a new 750 megawatt allocation, out of which 50% they have reserved for local content, and I think that would help the industry substantially, to gain momentum for a lot of the companies who have shut down, like the cell companies who are not able to produce adequate amount of cells because of the cost differential, but will also come back online, and I think that is a very positive step of the government. The regulators have been very helpful. New smart grids are being created. Many efforts are being done where industry will come back on track, and we feel that India will be a major powerhouse for solar and renewables in the future. Solar in India should be looked, in my opinion, as a socio-economic project, not just economic. because of course solar is helpful in terms of finding, the large solar plants have excellent economics. Many people from outside of India want to bring in investments, but one of the very big challenges that this industry is facing is the very high cost of capital. Solar is primarily a one-time investment which gives you returns over the next 25 years, but with a high capital, the IRRs are much longer, making it less attractive for people to invest in this industry. And if the tariffs have to come down, that is only possible by support from particularly the financial institutions. The government should set up funds where special funding is available in order to bring solar to grid parity. In the rural areas, I think microgrids, small grids, you can imagine that a family that does not have any power into a television or a possibility to charge their mobile can actually totally transform their lives. The children can study, they can an effective part of the society. So power access through solar is something that the government should leverage in a big way. There are many programs that the government is running, which are, one of which is one of our favorites, is the solar water pumping project in states like Rajasthan, Bihar, Chhattisgarh, where they are subsidizing the pumps because in any case they were subsidizing the power and power was not available, so the farmer was not able to do the farming, the family was suffering. And by this, they are able to bring the water to the farms, they are able to bring the economy, growth of the economy, and that has been an extremely successful program, which is now the phase 2 is running in Rajasthan, which is helped the people a lot, and there is a huge demand from the farmers. It has transformed many lives, and we hope such programs will continue from the MNRE and the other government departments. Other than that, I feel that it should be a social responsibility of almost all people to contribute in whatever way they can to renewables. In forums like this, Inertia and Professor Iyer always bring forward to the people new views, new ideas, new ways of enriching people's lives. And at the end of the day, that is what we are here for. We are here for ensuring that we enrich our lives in a responsible way. And I thank Professor Saab to bring very distinguished speakers here and very distinguished audience here to interact and to learn more and to understand from each other how we can help ourselves, our country and our planet. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinit ji. I just wanted to say something, that Inertia and Renewable Energy Promotion Association have given a white paper. We have shared with almost all the governments, especially the central government, the Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, for a target of 40 to 50 gigawatt for the National Solar Mission. Let me call Prasad Saab, आपसे थोड़ा सा समय और लेना चाहूँगा. PH Rana Saab है, so I am giving him 10 minutes for his delivery, 15 minutes to tell about the Gujarat model of success, so that we can take the time. Please, Rana Saab, please welcome him.
Respected members on the dais, guests, friends, very good morning. Today I am going to discuss something on the solar policy of Gujarat, how we are proceeding in this direction. In fact, Gujarat realized that though the total generation capacity is about 18,000 megawatt plus, more than 70% is coming from the coal, and to reduce the carbon footprint, they have already decided that we must do something on the green energy, and that's why in 2009 January they has announced a solar policy. The idea of having solar policy was to try to use the waste land that is available in the state, because normally it is in the far-flung area, so it will add to the value of the land also in the surrounding area. The people will get employment, people will get the skill development opportunity, the value addition will be there will be social sector that will be helping them on those things, and that is how we decided that we will have a solar policy. Of course, this solar policy, we decided to go for only 500 megawatt in the initial stage. But of course, later it was increased to about 967. We have signed power purchase agreement for 967 megawatt, out of which already 850 plus are already commissioned. The basic idea of signing a power purchase agreement was to boost up the solar energy in the state and to show the country also that they can replicate. So that is how we did it. In fact, when we started this thing, we saw that things are not moving in the right direction, because when we go for the individual developers, they have to make the arrangement for their own land, then they have to make the arrangement for other permissions, etc. So the things were not progressing as per the requirement, and that is why the government of Gujarat decided that Gujarat Power Corporation will be interested to work for a solar park where all the facilities will be provided, including the land, the water supply, and then evacuation facilities and other things, because which is the most important. Many the power developers have put up their power plant, but they have found it extremely difficult for evacuation, and that is how the solar park has come in. Of course, I will not go into the details of solar park because it has been discussed over a period of time. But here we have in one go, that is, you can say, we allocate the land in December 2010, and by December or January 2012, we had commissioned 221 megawatt at one place. And basically I was working there, so I saw that the groundwork started somewhere in the June or July 2011 only. So practically in about 6 to 7 months, we could commission about 221 megawatt. So solar is that much predominant in this region. Others, of course, did their job, and then because the cutoff date for the regulatory commission was 28 January 2012, then only they can get their preferential tariff for 15 rupees for 12 years and then the 5 rupees for 13 years. So that was the cutoff date. That is how we did it. This is one just overview how I try to show that how this is solar park. And this is only the area which is covered in, and then we can see that all the infrastructure right there, interconnecting roads, connecting roads, the water supply scheme, everything is provided in the master plan, nala, then reservoir, everything is provided here. So this is how the solar park was planned and executed in a proper way. Now second thing that after success of solar park, we concentrate on the rooftops. Gandhinagar, of course, there is no right now any policy that is, you can say, formulated. It is in the offing, and we are discussing the solar policy, but Gandhinagar is supplied by Torrent Power Limited. So Torrent is supposed to fulfill his RPO obligation. As a part of their RPO obligation, they had asked them to install 5 megawatt of solar rooftop in the Gandhinagar city. Of course, out of this 4 megawatt, out of this 5 megawatt, 4 megawatt we had earmarked for the government buildings, because in Gandhinagar there are a lot of government buildings. So there were two parties which were given 2.5 megawatt. One is Azure Power and another is Sun Edison. So out of 4 megawatt, 2 megawatt was done by Azure and 2 megawatt was done by Sun Edison, and balance 500 kilowatt. Balance 500 kilowatt was to be done on the residential building. Now here the scheme was like this, that after the fixation of tariff, whatever difference is there, more than the regulatory commission decided, that will be borne by JPCL. In that case, 11 rupees is approximately tariff quoted by both the parties. So 3 rupees will go to the rooftop owners, in this case government and the private, and 8 rupees will be retained by the developers. That is how, and it is a big success that as we have found. And then almost 5 megawatt is commissioned in Gandhinagar. Now with that success, we have decided to go for another 5 cities in the discoms, different discoms. So in that case, the policy is under, of course, formulation, but then it is decided that 20 megawatt we will do in the non-residential and 20 megawatt we will do in the residential. In the residential building, 30% will be paid by Government of Gujarat as subsidy, 30% will be paid by the central government, and the owner has to pay 40%. Similarly, in case of non-residential, 30% will be paid by Government of India, 30% will not be paid by Government of Gujarat, and 40%, that means 70% he has to pay. And then whatever the energy that is consumed, it will be net metered. So right now this is on the experiment basis, because our tariff itself is very high at the moment. The solar tariff is very high. Compared to that, our cost to serve for Discom is not that much high. That's why we cannot have this thing. But this is on a pilot project basis. So that's why we want to understand that what will be the repercussion. So balanced subsidy will come from government. That is how the rooftop is going to be there. And then we have already, Dr. Datta has already touched upon the issue regarding the canal. I'll just show the canal network. This is canal solar power that we have already commissioned 1 megawatt. You can see the distance is about 780 meters like that. But we have got a huge network, about 458 kilometers main canal. Then we have got a distribution canal, we have got a branch canal and all those things. Basically, the idea of developing the solar on the canal was to save the land, because the cost of land in India is, in Gujarat is very high, and with the change in the regulation, it is very difficult to get the land, and that's why the government decided to go for more on the solar on the canals. In fact, Vadodara branch canal, we have already advertised opened the tenders for 10 megawatt. So maybe another 12 months we will see these things. Cost-wise it is little higher, but then still it is worth it, because it not only saves the land, but it saves the evaporation losses in the canal also. And that's why it's one of the major policies that the government has taken in this direction. That is one thing. And secondly, we have tried to go for agriculture pump sets, because in the far-flung area like Dahod or in the tribal area, where still our network is there, but it is very long network, and as a consequence of this thing, it is very difficult to provide agriculture power in that area. So if a stand-alone thing is provided, then it will help us. So as an experiment basis, 50 pumps we have purchased of the range of 5 horsepower and 10 horsepower, and installed in Paschim Gujarat, and we are studying this thing. I think we have requested Germany also to is one of our arms in the research and development to work out the pump sets and the solar panel in such a way that the cost still becomes cheaper. Right now it is 1 horsepower is equal to almost 1 lakh rupees. So if it becomes cheaper, then it's easier, because laying line, that means it will be like something distributed distribution generation. And then once it is installed in this thing, he is not connected with the grid. He is free to use his power at his will. And normally they want power during daytime only, our agriculturists. While our present conventional power, we are providing agriculture power in 2 groups. One group will be having power supply at night, and one group will be at morning, and then again it will be changed after 1 week. So they are also finding it difficult. But now if the solar pumps are installed, then it will have only daytime, and they can use this power for the thresher and other agriculture equipment also. And that's why the government is trying to push this thing. In fact, this year we are expecting some budget provision for the solar agriculture pump in this direction. So I think we are very much on the target. We have not missed the target. For additional then second phase of Jawaharlal Nehru Mission, we have earmarked some land. Suppose so many people have quoted from our solar park. So if they come, I think it will be a very big boost to us. Another 50 megawatt by Kalian Energy is already under construction, and I think it's expected to be commissioned in another 6 months. So with this, my presentation on solar energy is concluded. Thank you very much.
I think we have a 3-minute documentary of the Gujarat Solar Park, and we would like that to be shown.
So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon seem inevitable. Christopher Reeve. 30th December 2010. Foundation ceremony of Gujarat Solar Park. 12 months later, 28th January 2012. 214 megawatts of solar power commissioned at world's first multi-developer, multi-facility, multi-technology, multi-beneficiary solar park at Charanka village, District Patan, Gujarat. 19th April 2012, Gujarat dedicates 500 megawatt power generation capacity to the nation, as Asia's largest solar park is formally inaugurated in Gujarat.
We are doing this mainly to contribute in the war against global warming and climate change.
The story of Gujarat Solar Park is a historic feat in itself. Visualized, planned, and swiftly implemented in record time of under a year. The most notable aspects were its execution and the political willingness to go the extra mile. A plethora of complexities had to be resolved before the park could see the light of day. Acquiring land, developing infrastructure, and handing over plots to individual developers had to be done simultaneously, while sensitively handling the issue of encroachment of land pockets by locals. Approach and internal roads had to be built. Reservoirs and systems for storing, treating, and distributing water had to be created. The project site fronted the desert of Kutch, and harsh weather conditions proved to be major constraints, with frequent flooding and the remoteness of the village adding to construction costs. Total quality management played a crucial part in achieving the success of the project with a regularly monitored, web-based system specially developed to ensure the timely accessibility of both data and information. While 1,500 laborers diligently worked round the clock, developers were taken into confidence through periodic meetings where they were updated regarding the project's development and revisions at every stage. A team of experienced officials were available on-site 24/7 to promptly address clearance and approval issues. This helped to eliminate redundancies and reduce the duplication of efforts. Activities were completed within the scheduled time frame as every member of the project worked steadfastly around bottlenecks and ensured that the project was commissioned within schedule. A win-win project for all segments, the solar park saw many far-reaching consequences. Uniquely integrating environment, infrastructure, and social perspectives, the park led to vast areas of government wasteland being put to good use with gainful employment benefiting larger rural sections and communication networks and irrigation water flowing through villages.
This innovative approach will contribute to India's energy requirements and will create jobs and welfare without generating additional greenhouse gas emissions.
As a prime example of energy conservation, with rainwater harvesting, carbon emission reduction, and groundwater recharge happening on a continual scale, the Gujarat Solar Park at Charanka bears testimony to one truth, that harnessing divine energies is the only way forward. And having the courage to go beyond one step today is the only way to a better tomorrow. Gujarat Solar Park at TerraWatt, partner in a journey of brilliance.
I want to call one of the finest speaker and an institution himself, Dr. Yogendra Prasad ji. Yogendra Prasad ji has written so many books, so many work on hydropower, and he will be a man who will give you a completely different perspective on what's happening actually to the health of the power sector of the country and the nation. Please welcome Yogendra Prasad ji here.
My distinguished guests on the dais, my all friends and participants, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to talk mostly because you are talking on the generation side. The most important thing in any country is the economy of the country. And I have written an article, Health of an Indian Power System and its Impact on Indian Economy, once the grid code in 2010 was issued, keeping the frequency variance between 49.7 to 50.2. And at that time, I had, this is available on the goggles, and you can switch on to Google, you can see yourself. Because our country, really speaking, does not understand what is actually required. We have separate type of generators, and its performance are separate, and at the same time grid code. Now regulatory commission is there which decides the grid code. What is grid code? Because we have to be in the frequency, because frequency is very important for life of the generator, and that's why it has to be kept near 50 hertz. Now I would like to make you understand how you can keep it 50 hertz. If you are going to have at 50 hertz, life of generator will be maximum, you will be giving power at the minimum cost, and then economy of the country can survive. What I am going to talk in this country, people are talking of the Home Ministry, Finance Ministry, but nobody understanding, unless we are going to improve the power sector of this country, nothing can happen. In USA, even power goes for 3-4 hours, entire government comes at halt. But in our country, in villages, you are not having power for 3 and 4 hours. Maybe Gujarat has a better state where we are having power round the clock and much satisfactory power to the people of the country. But we have to think what power. Power should be at proper voltage and proper frequency. And how we can achieve it? See, we have thermal power plants, we have nuclear power plants, we have gas power plants, and we have hydropower plants. These are the 4 components which actually matters for power generation. Now we are coming up in solar, but unless we have battery band, and unless with the battery band solar power is cheaper, we cannot fully depend on it. So these are the 4 major things, because we have to give power. That's why then, so that in global market our industry may be competitive and we are able to sell our products at most competitive market. Now in these regards, there was a time in 1952, India and China were together. And in our country, if you compare the development of this country and China, there is far difference today. Today the Chinese frequency almost remains constant at 50. And now new grid code has come in effect. The order has been issued on 6th January 2014, and you can see the grid code on the website. According to this grid code, the frequency variance has been allowed between 49.9 to 50.05 hertz. This is the international standard. Our CRC, which is a judicial body, and Regulatory Commission has issued this order. And just I will tell you, unless we are going to improve our hydro sector, because in India we have shortage of gas, and whatever gas you are going to import, our energy cost, including distribution losses, transmission losses, and that may go to 20 rupees, which we can't survive. So hydro is the only answer to this grid code. Just try to understand. At 50, at this new grid code, it is on the website. You see, if you are drawing power at 50.05 hertz, cost of power is zero. Cost of power is zero. Try to understand the frequency. Unless you are not going to understand frequency, you can't understand the power sector. If you are going on reducing the frequency nearer to 50, your rate will come down 35.05 paise per 01 variation. And at 50 hertz, your tariff will be 1 rupee 78 paise. This is, I'm talking of the national grid tariff, where you have combined hydro, nuclear, solar, hydro, gas, everything. Now, if you are going to, why it high frequency happens? Because your generation is more than the supply required. But in our country, we are not surplus. Sometimes when we are going to sleep at the midnight, we are stopping our industry, we are stopping our house lights, then power demand goes down and generation goes up. Then throughout the day, our energy demand is almost more than the power generation available in the grid. That's why now this low frequency and high frequency is detrimental for the system. That's why economic penalty has been created, and from 50 you are coming down, every 0.01 hertz cost 25 paisa approximately more, and when you are coming to 849.9, the rate goes to 8.24. That is in wholesale market, 49.7 in wholesale market rate. Now just try to understand, at 8.24 paise, if you are going to buy the power, what will be your economical condition? You get wholesale market. Final rate will go to more than 16 rupees. Now what is happening? Electricity boards, electricity utilities are signing the agreement with the consumers at a particular rate, and they are being forced to draw power within that range. Now the applicable range from 17 February is 49.9 to 50.05. With this range, with nuclear power and thermal power. Thermal power is more dominant today. We have more than 70% thermal power. It is not technically possible, and everybody in the world wants to question me. They can question me. My every detail is there. On this also, my paper will come to Google within 15 days. I'm going to write on this. This is rather impossible, but God has given us in this country lot of opportunity to develop the hydropower plant, and we have abundance water available in this country with proper location, and we can match with China provided we have political will of that range. If you don't have political range, you cannot do anything. And whatever I am talking practical things. What I am not talking on the book, just giving you some example that you can do this. I am not talking that. What is practically required in this nation, how we can survive in the industry, how we can achieve the economical targets, that is very important. Everybody is showing economy is going down, down, down. Economy is not going down because power sector is going down and down day by day. We are not giving satisfactory power to the people. We are not giving 2 hours, 3 hours power to the people of this country in the villages. Even in Delhi there is regular load shedding. I am happy. I have come to Badora for the first time. At least only this time it has gone power, otherwise throughout the night there was power. At least Gujarat is much better. And you can see in Google my presentation, I have shown it. Except Gujarat Electricity Board. All electricity board of the country are in loss. Up to 2012, total debt with electricity board was 4,28,000 crore. Today it has surpassed more than 5 lakh crore. Just tell me how the electricity boards are going to survive. And in this situation, it is very difficult for this nation to survive. So what I want, all of you are mostly, I think, technical people. You have to understand the fundamentals of the power. Unfortunately, in our country, we are selecting the minister, we are neglecting this power sector. Even Minister of State is heading the power sector. But if you go to America, go to China, go to Russia, the most competent man is power minister. I have been to China 3-4 times and I had an occasion to discuss with 2-3 power ministers. They had got so much knowledge of the fundamentals. They have got so many qualities in them who can understand all these things. When I was chairman of the NHPC, at that time I was discussing with Kumar Mangalam. He was a very, very interesting minister. He was understanding the technology. Unfortunately, he is no more. And at that time, we brought the availability-based tariff. I told him, sir, unless you bring availability-based tariff, your generators can't be saved. First you save your property, then you can provide power to the people of the country. But this never happened. He tried, availability-based tariff came to the power, in existence. After that, regulatory commission came. And when Suresh Prabhu was the minister, he also was understanding the power situation. But after that, I don't want to name. All ministers are of no use. They don't know what is this power. Are giving bogus data before the people. We have 2,34,000 megawatt of installed capacity. People should understand how much is the effective capacity you are giving power to the people throughout the year. 30% of your generators are shut down because of high and low frequency damages. And now I am stopping because time shortage is there. Okay, thank you.
In fact, Prasad Saab can, really enthrall because he has so much of knowledge on what's exactly happening, especially on the frequency issue. But I think we have a good chance to interact with him. He is here, so in the subsequent session, whatever questions you have, you can ask him. Now, I would like to call Shri Gurdeep Singh, who is our Chief of Generation in Gujarat, and he is from the GSCG, he is the Managing Director, and let us hear him.
Thank you, Dr. Iyer. Dignitaries of the dais, dear participants, friends, some of the friends, and I can see here. I have been asked specifically to speak on the coal-related issues. Though it's a very, very huge subject, but I just would like to bring in your knowledge, few of the things what are happening. And before I just go into that, I would like to keep very, very short. If there is any discussion which is required, I'll be more than happy to take up then a few questions later on. I think it has been already mentioned that what is the capacity of the country. The capacity of the country as of now is approximately 2,35,000 megawatt odd kind of things, what we can think. And the coal-based generation is approximately 1,32,000 megawatt or so. Incidentally, our peak requirement of the country also stands at about maximum what we can achieve is around that only. It's not even crossing that. So in fact, the total power requirement of the country is being met by coal up to the extent of more than 3/4 of the total energy terms, what I think that Dr. Iyer was trying to mention when he was giving his data, let's say. So coal generation is the backbone of the power sector. So that has to be kept in mind. In fact, if that is the backbone, it should be a stable generation. and the variation should be minimum, so it should be a base load generation. But unfortunately what is happening today is that because of the gas capacity, gas production capacity coming down in the country and LNG prices going through the roof, most of the generating assets on the gas are lying idle. Today we have approximately 20,000 megawatt. I am not getting in the exact number, though it's 18,900. I have the figures, but I don't want to just get into the number game rather than concept. Yeah. So our 20,000 megawatt last month, what the gas was available was approximately 26 MMS CMD for the gas sector, which is sufficient to generate maximum at a good efficiency of around 5,000 megawatt. So you can see the 3/4 of the assets of the gas are lying idle. Why gas is important? It's not only from the clean power generation or whatever the installed plants, but it is very helpful to strengthen the grid. Like whenever there is a peak requirement or off-peak requirement, then the gas-based power station should be the power station which should be taking the backing down or ramping up. Dr. Prasad, he has at length explained, and we can't have a better expert than him. Hydro is the key thing, but unfortunately the capacity addition in the hydro is not really taking place, though there has been some projects which are under construction, but most of them are getting delayed. And in fact there are some projects which are going in the private hands which are also getting delayed. So I was just observing that what Dr. Prasad said, I completely endorse that. There should be this hydro sector should be the one which should be, there should be a public funding, or the government should be installing as much as possible rather than going on finding out what is the IRR and what is going to be this thing. I think that's the other way of not only the cost of generation or the cost to the consumers today, but to seeing the what is the requirement. It's not only the actual generation, but it will act like insurance also. So that's it. Then the renewables. Why I'm just taking, these are the three things which are coming, and then I will come back to the coal issue. The renewables must be exploited as much as we can do, and thankfully we in the state are leading in this basket as far as the solar is concerned, and also we are not far behind as far as the wind is concerned. So we are having approximately 4,000 of renewables, but that is becoming some kind of challenge how to really observe in the grid. The certainty of when the power is going to come, as far as the solar is concerned, it is bit there, but for this wind it is really becoming difficult. And in the absence of the gas generation and the hydro capacity, what is happening is our power stations which are relatively older, which are approximately 30 years of age now, which were never designed, which were never thought of that these plants will be required to back down. Unfortunate situation what is coming out is because of this total situation what has emerged, be it exploitation of the renewable, or there is no availability of the gas or limited availability of the hydro, the old units, and now there is something called merit order, which is a good thing to be heard, and it's a desirable thing, but it's very difficult in a practical approach. And I think Dr. Prasad was trying to then explain those issues also. What happens if the load has to be reduced, the coal has to be reduced, temperature has to be controlled, etc., etc. It's very difficult to maintain the safety of the machines. But I think our engineers with their experience and the expertise are doing that difficult job, and most of the time our units are taking care of those variation in the load during the day, which may not be the desired thing, but incidentally that is what, because we are the only people who are left in the basket, so we have to shoulder that responsibility. At the end, we are the custodian of your assets. Okay. So with these few things, let me come back to the coal situation. In this year, we are going to consume approximately 500 million ton of coal. Out of that, 365 is going to be from Coal India, 32 is from Singareni collieries, which is only in Andhra, supplying to Andhra plants and NTPC Ramagundam. Then there is a captive coal blocks with the different power generators, which 28 million tons, and the rest, which is 72 million ton, is going to be the import for the power sector. See, this figure I am giving for the power sector, not the total, because otherwise I think Dr. Iyer had given some figure of 650 million, so that includes the steel, cement and other industries. So I am just only focusing on the power. And out of the 72, there is a 35 million ton coal which is going to be used in the imported coal based projects alone, which is 100% imported coal. Whereas approximately 30-31 million ton will be required for blending. And let me just explain here that its blending is not only to meet the shortage. Of late, the blending has become even necessary to maintain the quality of the coal, which has to be fed to the boiler to keep it running. So the quality issues are becoming much more serious than even the quantity issues. But till date, unfortunately, in our gen sector, this point has been experienced by one and all. However, we have not been able to collectively impress upon the decision makers to impose some mechanism wherein the assured qualities can be supplied. The typical fuel supply agreements what are there is, which are saying any coal from any mine can be supplied by Coal India, and that does not mean anything. But because that coal is very cheap in comparison to the imported coal at the pit head, so nobody is giving due consideration to that. But hopefully in the coming days this is going to become the very, very important issue. To give you the another flavor to that, if you import the coal at the port and you produce the coal at the mine, if you take the F grade coal, what is now a G10, G11, if somebody is conversant with that, and at the port the ratio of the cost of the coal in the heating value term is 1:4. So that is the reason there is a scope. This is the gap which is being exploited by various agencies involved, including the contracting agency employed by the mine operators, to go on pushing the inferior coal. So this need to be understood very clearly, and this is what is important. The next important thing is, which is going to be prominent as the cost of the power is going to go on increasing, the inferior coal quality is also adding to the cost of delivered power, which is adding to the profit of the miners, whether it is Coal India, whether it is captive, anyone. So there has to be, going forward, there has to be some mechanism wherein why the consumer should be paying for the some of the quality related issues, because as of today, as per the regulatory mechanism, the cost is passed through either from the generator to the power purchaser, which is DISCOMs, and from DISCOMs to the consumers. If this is corrected, it is a rough estimate is that the cost of delivered power will come down at least 30-40 paise. But this is a huge gigantic task. I hope that next 2-3 years we should be able to take care of these issues. So I think I may not be done in a very sequential manner, but in bits and pieces, whatever I was asked to add, to touch up the subjects, I try to touch. If there is anything specific, please feel free to ask any question. Thank you.
I think with that good, extremely excellent insight into the situation of the country and also how Gujarat has actually succeeded, I just want to add a last thing, from where Prasad Saab has left also, that hydro is critical, because even Gurdeep Singh ji said that without hydro or gas, we are not able to do anything to balance the act. I think that we are in acceptance. Dilapidated fan, and bola electricity ho gaya. Rajiv Gandhi, Gramin Vidyutikaran Yojana. You know, in that Yojana, the biggest joke is, you go to any of those remote villages, आप उस पे झूला कर सकते हैं ऊपर जाके, आप घूम जाइए, उसके बाद आपको गुदगुदी होगी और गिर जाएंगे आपको वोल्टेज नहीं लगेगा, शॉक नहीं लगेगा. आई एम सॉरी प्रसाद साहब, ये हालत है. दैट इज द विद्युतीकरण योजना. और ये जो लगा के जो जवाहरलाल नेहरू नेशनल सोलर मिशन है, जवाहरलाल नेहरू नेशनल सोलर मिशन, आई फॉर वन रेस्पेक्ट जवाहरलाल जी, लेकिन उसकी तो तौहीन कर दी इन्होंने, उसका नाम आगे लगा के. मिशन क्या है? 100 मीटर की रेस आप 16 सेकंड में भाग रहे हैं. आई टेल यू, the best sprint runner in the world, who is a woman runner, I am sorry, but women are equal now, will not be ready to run in such a race. She will say, please keep me away from this race, I don't want to run, this is a stupid race. 16 seconds, 20 seconds you want to run the 100-meter race? Is this the, I always say India is a first-rate nation with a third-rate mentality of the politicians. A first-rate nation, believe me, of intellectuals, with third-rate mentality of politics. Can we change it? The politics of electricity, water, bijli, pani, sadak, the three has come to that extent today. You know, we are denying our population every right they deserve, because now he said lack of education. Prasad Sahab said lack of education. But I tell you, it is not only lack of education. There is an idea called willful ignorance. I know, but I don't want to know, want to see. गांधी जी ने बोला बुरा मत देखो, बुरा मत सुनो, बुरा मत कहो, लेकिन इसका मतलब कुछ और था. गांधी जी ने जाइब में बोला था उसको. उनका कहना था बुरा होते हुए मत देखो, ऐसा तो नहीं बोला उन्होंने. बुरा कोई कर रहा है उसकी तरफ से अपना नजर हटा लो, ये तो नहीं बोले वो. सो दिस होल आइडिया, एक्चुअली those 3 brothers came from, I think, Japan, if I'm not mistaken. Originally the 3 monkeys, somebody gave him a gift, you know, of this, so he commented that it's good to live like this. Actually nobody talks about the basic concept of Mahatma Gandhi. And instead of all this, I tell you, if all of them are left at Sabarmati, they would learn more at that ashram, you know, because they will learn more on food security. Because Mahatma Gandhi very famously said that जब आप पहली रोटी खाते हैं, you're satiating your hunger. Second roti, you're now going to the next higher plane called the need. अब आपने तीसरी रोटी खा रहे हैं, आप desire पे आ गए already. The need, want, and desire model. चौथी रोटी, you're sending the country hungry. अब ये हम जो sending the country hungry हैं वो कर रहे हैं. You know, our friend Dr. Prakasham is sitting here, but I was telling in the morning, you know, the most stupid country in my opinion is United States of America. You know, why? Because what they did, corn, they had so much of corn, so they did not know what to do. They never wanted to find a strategic plan to conquer the world if they would have handled the food security of the world. So when they produced so much corn, they started looking at ethanol, a fringe benefit, and with that they have now taken all the bloody ethanol out of it, only firing not even 2% of their vehicles, and they're wasting the food assets of the world, and that is destroying the food security of the world. Will America change its ways? So I want to see that America. You know, so India is a much better country. Gujarat is a great example because of the land of Gandhiji. So I think the Gujarat must go forward and talk about how the conservation of energy, how the, like he says now there is energy excess situation in Gujarat. I tell you, the state I am sitting in office in Maharashtra is really stupid. They have 7 gigawatt of shortfall. Not one unit they are purchasing from Maharashtra. And I tell you, from Sikkim, a hydropower project, they are buying the power at roughly 9 rupees a unit. Now it is 11 rupees a unit. That we will do. Transport from Sikkim all the way up into Maharashtra, but never buy from your own younger brother, Gujarat. That is the type of politics of electricity that we are coming to, my friends. This, I can go on exposing. I have no fear and no favor, because one of the things is, when you nurture fear, you will never be loving your country. So don't nurture fear, be bold. And I have the daring to say that there is a change 2014. I don't want to make it a political issue, but 2014 is a benchmark election. Do or die, and each Indian must rise from this occasion. Now I want to call Negi sir, because he is another passionate man who has transformed the transmission sector in Gujarat, has worked on the smart grid issues. He is ahead of everybody else in the country on the practical side. Please welcome S.K. Negi, Managing Director, GETCO. U.C. Janji from Sardar Sarovar Narmada Nigam Limited. Can we see him here? I would request him to please come on the dais, sir. Please give him a big hand. Nation's Pride Project. May I also request Raman Bhardwaj, our very good friend from Green Village, to please come over, sir, on the dais and be with the dignitaries here. And may I also request my friend Hetal Mehta to please come over. He has been down. Our joint president of Renewable Energy Promotion Association, my colleague. Hetal bhai, please come over.
Okay, good afternoon. After this, I think powerful presentations and speeches, I think nothing is left for me. I strongly feel nothing is left for me. But I will try to do some justice, try to share most of the things. I feel it may be repetition of things because Gurdeep Singh talked about coal issues and whatever the plants which have been have PPA, but they are not able to, they are asking the increase in cost. That is another issue which is going on. Then imported coal which is costly and blending, all these issues. I think those who are in a sector, they understand it better. But for the public, it is also to be known that today there is enough coal available and there is enough power available. And apart from that, renewable energy and Mr. Yogendra Prasad covered a very recent subject, and for audience it may be very informative. I wanted to tell about that, but he has already explained. Instead of ABT now, deviation settlement mechanism has been introduced from 17th of February. It is just 3-4 days old. And apart from that, I think Prakasham Tata has covered about renewable energy, what is the need, and it was also covered how these generating plants are suffering because technical, the thermal plants variations, they cannot take like hydro and gas. So that Mr. Yogendra Prasad has explained that. So I think there is not much left for me to speak, but transmission, being in transmission sector for a long time, I would like to cover some of the things. Let me start with it's a recapitulation for many of the audience here are students and maybe new to sector. So let me start with some Electricity Act 2003 and how it was envisaged, how it was thought, and where are we today, and how, what are the issues now of, because of the offshoot of the Electricity Act itself. We have issues which are today paramount to be resolved. First of all, Electricity Act in transmission, I will limit to transmission distribution, not to the generation, which was, generation was major point was it was de-license and there was no need of license, but a host of licenses are required otherwise. But still, as Mr. Iyer also covered, that private, there is a tremendous shift out of that because of that, and a lot of generation has come in private. But this generation has come with this problem because of the somewhere lacuna in the transmission connectivity and open access, and they were probably more greedy to sell the power. Everything calculations have gone wrong, I will say. So I think we have to learn one lesson that every business what we plan, it has to be in a very uniform thought process, without any motive we should do that. So generation plants have come up in private with a motive to earn profit and aggressive quoting and UMPP and all that, we landed in the problem. So generation has gone to, a lot of amount has gone to private side now, but they are still standard, that I will cover that. But coming to transmission, so network development was a major issue which was mandated in the Electricity Act, and it was thought that there will be electricity plan and everything has gone well. I will say CTU was formed, STU was formed, state transmission companies were formed, but and today's success of that is one nation, one grid. I think we achieved that. So let me tell that what was thought is one achievement of this act, one nation, one grid. And but at the same time today, in spite of that making one nation, one grid, we have full of congestion today available in the network where interstate as well as inter-regional. And today excess power is available, but we are not able to transmit. So that is a issue which has emerged. So network development per se, yes, it has been implemented, it is done, but not in a way, there is still a gap today, we are in that position. Second thing was regulator. I think the regulators every state has done that, and but to my viewpoint, regulator have been very bullish in some of the things which they should not have, and they have been very bad in certain things like giving tariff. They were under pressure, and today for the last 2 years, many states, the tariff have been increased to 40%, 30-40%. So it is compulsion. So regulator, one side they have been very bullish in making this renewable energy, this mechanism, and pushing the states to have a RPO, then open access, pushing that that market network should be open to the people, and so the price will come down. That has become reality, of course, but at the same time I will say that the tariff which rationalization which because today it was shared that 4 lakh crore is the loss. I think regulator is responsible for that. And I'm discussing national level issue. I am not discussing particular to any state. Let me tell you, make it clear. Then there was a tariff rationalization was there, and I will to that extent I think tariff MIT regulations have been implemented in each state, and there has been a in transmission also POC mechanism has come, and then tariff is going well, except that what I said distribution level. Then open access was the mandated issue. It was that it will drive the market, it will bring exchanges will be open, and those open access people can have cheaper power. I think that has become reality, but it has come with a reality with certain losses and with certain background not taking into account, and then we have the issues of open access today, which I will cover in the next presentation. But as mandated in that, yes, we have succeeded. Then we have tariffs like that. SLDC, there was very important mandate in the Electricity Act that we'll have the load dispatch center which will act like air traffic controller, and I think that has become reality. Ring fencing is planned that they will be independent. That has not happened, but actually functionally they are independent. But at the same time, the modernization of SLDC is another issue, and now today under this as I said, regulator is very strict and very bullish in certain issues, and I will not say they are wrong. They have their own perception to bring the grid discipline. So today SLDC being a ring fence, they are under this on the DSM mechanism, with the renewable energy must run status. It's a lot of pressure is there on the system operator. So whatever was thought of, I think in the Electricity Act, that thinking functionally it has been implemented is going well. Then another thing was mandatory Electricity Act was this PPP model of transmission and in the distribution also. I will not cover much about distribution, and there is distribution are well known. There are only few examples there, because the distribution being a social responsibility of the state government. So we have Agra and Bhavandi and few in the NDP of privatization. Whereas in transmission, there have been a good amount of progress in some of the lines, and this competitive bidding has been implemented. But it is too, I will say it was too bullish a step, because now everything in the transmission sector in India, whatever transmission has to come, it is go for public bidding. Power grid cannot do it, city cannot do it. Actually it was mandated for state also, that GETCO and any transmission company cannot do a transmission, and we have to go for a public bid, but we could not implement it. Practically it is not possible because number of agencies are not available, and that is one thing. Second, it is leading to a, if you see bidding process and time taken, and then what is the tariff they are quoting. What experience we have now 5 years, that they are not able to rationally quote, and then finally those lines are getting delayed. Then also there is a question, there will be small line, there will be lines in the hills. These private people would like to have easy line, which they can do it. So but that is a state which would not become a reality, but central became a reality. But today, if you see the progress of last 4 to 5 years, this transmission sector is not going well, I will say, because everything over tariff-based bidding, it takes 1 year, 1.5 years, and whatever people are sitting with their transmission project in hand, very big companies are doing, but they are not doing any work. In many of the projects are not moved also. That is one thing. Secondly, there has been institutional barriers also, I will say. They have not been given a proper response in the ministry, and the electricity ROW, whatever right they have to go out, they have to get as per the power to raise the line. Those licenses, those permissions were lying in the ministry for more than a year. So when we implemented a mandatory act that privatization of transmission sector and open to all, and then I mean, we wanted to break cost plus system. The objective was to have break cost plus system, but that was not really. Now these people themselves every day they are asking those who private people, though they quoted a tariff and a levelized tariff, then they say you should give us PV on steel, you should give it. Then what is the difference between cost plus and you? Then and it was expected that innovative designs will come, but that has not come into picture. So these are some of the background of Act argument. So it means, I think, let the business in the country run in a very simplest manner rather than complicating through a market mechanism. You know, I give a simple example, the commodity market, the good, the sugar, wheat, this we brought in the commodity market. I think there is no need for these things to bring okay, I may be going to primitive stage and all the MBA fellows may not be happy with which I am talking, but commodity market itself brought totally spoiled it just brought the bullish trend in the food items also. So similarly to the transmission sector, people are too bullish and people have quoted the transmission system. They are not able to do. We have hardly any transmission. Few transmission elements have come in the country for last 2004 to 2013. There are only few transmission lines come in private. Power grid is not able to push. So this, I think, this is to be very serious thought to be given that how far we should go for the privatization of this thing. Coming to the renewable energy, okay, I just short because renewable energy is already discussed. It is actually must-run sector is causing a problem to the conventional generation to operate because there are unpredictability, variability, and all these issues are there. There was one renewable regulatory fund (RR) mechanism was implemented, but it was suspended. Though scheduling is compulsory, but still it is suspended commercially. So like a tight DSM mechanism where frequency is the issue, I think this RR mechanism or center should take a very strong view, or a regulator must implement it, and forecasting mechanism has to come in the country. Otherwise, if this is not implemented, I think we will not be able to maintain the DSM mechanism. So RR is another issue which we have to resolve as a transmission issue. So with this I complete my address. Thank you very much.
Negi sir has given the entire transmission related issues, and he said something on policy and governance. So this topic, I tell you, was the man responsible for this topic was my meeting with Negi sir. So I am a transparent man. I love to tell the truth. So हमारी बात हुई थी, and then we introduced the policy and governance. So I want to tell this audience something. This was my document to the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of India, dated October 2012. And this, I went to the Power Secretary this month, PK Sinha. I gave him, I said, you guys have not looked at this. He said, Professor Saab, मैं तो नया आया हूँ, मुझे तो document नहीं मिला. मैंने कहा ये और इस पे, what was the reply by the PMO to me? The PMO's officer writes to me, we are replying to your personal grievance. Can you believe it? And I have the hard document. Then I sent back to him, sir, this is national grievance, not personal grievance. And may I call Avi Sabawala, the president of Vadodara Chamber of Commerce and Industry, to wind up this particular session, and a question and answer will be opened after that.
Distinguished speakers on the panel, the organizers of this Power Pact event, we started with a good morning, but today and right now I have to say good afternoon to all of you. It seems very appropriate that we are organizing a forum like this in a power surplus state, and more importantly in a place which is known to be the power and electrical hub of India, Baroda. So I think on behalf of the VCCI, it is a great pleasure to be partnering with you, Inertia and Falcon Media, and we look forward to more such events. In fact, the forthcoming exhibition that we are going to be having, our 9th mega industrial exhibition, we would definitely like to have the 9th mega industrial exhibition. We would definitely like to focus a great deal on the power sector, and we do hope to have many of you from the distinguished panel also with us, and perhaps you can look at having a very good such seminar with more details and input about the future of the power sector. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today's session was definitely food for thought, it was definitely an opportunity. It was a great flow of Saraswati in this hall. What we are really looking for, and from industry, we had a very old slogan in the old days, and of course it was very political, roti kapra makan, for the common man to survive. But today, if we want India to develop, if we want industrialization to gather pace, if we want manufacturing, the share of manufacturing to go up in the GDP and make a further contribution, and there was a time we were talking about a 9% growth rate. Today, we've got to see that manufacturing grows, and for manufacturing to grow, we need another slogan, and that slogan is Bijli Sarak Pani. And the first of these, of course, is Bijli, because today without proper power, without proper electricity, without good quality electricity, the growth of Indian industry is definitely going to be hampered. We are already seeing a bit of a downturn around the country as far as the manufacturing sector goes. And today we are talking of India being the services hub. But the fact is that services can only grow on the back of strong manufacturing. And so strong manufacturing, strong commercial growth is definitely the need of the hour if India is to become a first world country, if it is to become a developed country in the time span that we are looking at. Today's panel focused a great deal, and there was a great impassioned plea for introducing non-conventional energy sources, renewable energy sources. It makes appropriate sense. Today we are talking about global warming, we are talking of the earth getting warmer, and the fact is that we are drawing immensely on fossil fuels. Fossil fuels which not only have a scarcity in our country, whether it is coal, oil, energy, we are importing it, we are raising our import bill, and something like 56% of our imports are actually being spent on oil imports. We are perhaps the largest consumer of coal, and the talk was about especially about the quality of coal that we are getting here in India and which we are using for our power plants, which is perhaps not up to the mark. The fact is that the coal requirement is going to go up in the years to come, and we would need to import a greater amount of coal. So here we are, gas is also going through the roof, LNG is going through the roof, availability of natural gas will perhaps not meet the requirement of the country. The fact is that all this put together, there is a pressing need to see that we are looking at alternative energy sources which are clean, which are non-polluting, and definitely which are renewable. One of the speakers talked about the micro aspect also of solar energy and renewable energy. We have seen today that wherever we have solar energy, households, industries, units which are using solar energy are able to take care of many of their requirements of electricity, and there is immense capacity for solar energy. It is said that the Thar Desert and the Rann of Kutch are enough to take care of the energy needs of our country and even of the world. And it is this potential which offers immense scope for development. We also had some very interesting presentations on hydropower, and I think hydropower also is an area which is pretty untapped. Oh yeah, okay. No, I require it, so yes. Hydropower also, which is a requirement which we can develop. The fact is that all these areas is still underutilized, and we have scope for increasing it. In 1992, the generation from renewable energy was perhaps just about something like 40 megawatts. Today we are looking at something like 12,000 megawatts, and which has great scope for increasing in the years to come. We need to look at having more of indigenous technology, having technology which is affordable for the common man and especially for the rural sectors. And with this, we also need to focus on the macro issue of reducing the kind of foreign exchange outgo which we are facing today. We are having a big crunch as far as foreign exchange. The devaluation of the rupee is actually directly proportional to the kind of imports that we are doing as far as the energy sector goes, whether it is coal, oil, or gas. And if we can control that, if we can bring down that, perhaps we can take care of much of the economical woes that India is facing today. We also talked today a great deal about the power policy, and it was very well enunciated by the people who are involved, Mr. Negi, Mr. Gurdeep Singh, who are involved in actual generation as well as in transmission of power. We also need to look at the fact that whilst we are talking of energy conservation, India and the average Indian today is one of the lowest consumers of electricity and power. Compared to the rest of the world, India has something like, we consume something like 825 megawatts average consumption per person in India. In comparison, China is 2000 kilowatts per hour, and the US is something like 15,000 kilowatts per hour. So this 825 kilowatts per hour, there's definitely going to be an increase. We are looking at a great increase in population. Years to come, we are going to be the largest, the country with the largest population, surpassing Big Brother China, as well as the kind of growth that we are going to see in terms of usage of energy guzzling products and devices. So we really need to look at our energy needs and our power needs in the years to come. I would like to congratulate the organizers, Falcon Media and Inertia, for organizing such a useful forum and having such an interesting interaction from a galaxy of speakers who are here with us today. And I'm sure it is time now to have some interaction from the audience who has been listening to the various thoughts and ideas which have been put forward. So without taking too much time, I would like to thank you for inviting VCCI to be partnering with you, and we look forward to some very interactions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aviji. It was wonderful to hear you. Now I open this entire forum to the audience. Please, questions? Yes.
This question is to Professor, because some of the things he has seen and I admire him for the past NHPC association. We have been hearing lots of noise regarding taking India from 220 gigawatt to 1000 gigawatt capacity addition. I don't know when the Indian planners start thinking about kilowatt hour addition rather than megawatt addition, capacity creation. Because it's the useful kWh which should be used, and you can see from one interesting slide from Mr. Negi that despite the lowest manufacturing growth seen in India in the past 1 year, the shortfall is 4%. In next few months and in next few years, when the manufacturing sector grows, this gap is going to grow high. And what is that planning or your suggestion to the planning commission, how we can really grow in a very, very studied and calculated way in capacity addition, considering our persistent failure of addition of gigawatts in every 5 years. But we have never met any of the 5-year planning commission's targets. So why I'm raising this question is, we need to define one nation, one grid with a good energy mix percentage. The reason is hydro, it comes at only 7 crore.
Pramodji, I would request the questions have to be brief and short, you know, because otherwise uska koi maza nahi aayega.
Sure.
Kindly, yeah?
Sure. Hydro comes at 6 crore, solar comes at 8-9 crores, nuclear comes at 50 crores, and then gas comes at some little odd crores, and thermal comes at 4 to 5 crores. So capacity addition vis-a-vis kWh addition, what is your vision plan so that India can studied way really ramp up this energy access to all, and every taluka gets energy security. What's your view?
For that, you have to understand the proper mix. Mix is very essential because you have shown that thermal less costly, hydro more costly, that nuclear costlier, then your renewables are costly. Yes, I'm telling you. One thing is there, whatever your resources are there, they are to be used to maximum utilization. And in power sector especially, our technical people are not understanding optimum use can be done.
Correct.
Provided you have balanced frequency. Anybody having energy, unless it is put to optimum use, and for that you have to see that variation of frequency damages the plants. All high-speed plants like thermal, nuclear get damaged extremely on variation of the frequency, because all plants are designed for synchronous speed, constant speed.
Correct.
But power cannot be stored. So the best solution is, in this country, we should aim for having a storage project and pump storage project as the first priority, so that already the capacity which has been added today could be utilized fully. Just see, you have lot of wind power, but that is a pursuit time. Sometime wind will be there, and sometime it will not be there. Once you are having surplus power, then your frequency will go high. When you have more consumption, less production, frequency will go down. It is a timing, and renewable will suffer a lot. Many generators today are having shut down of their generators.
Yes.
Then who is going to pay for the fixed cost
That's right.
of the loss? So we have to understand that any bank cannot run without reserve bank.
Yes.
Just the technology I'm telling you.
So one more thing, I would like to address on one thing, sir.
The most important is we should try pump storage scheme first, so that under surplus frequency condition we can take power from renewable other resources where readily available, and then we should try for reservoir project. You know, in this country, more than 93,000 megawatt pump storage schemes have been investigated, and out of that, only 4,000 have been implemented. Just people do not understand the meaning of technology. They understand power will be coming from anywhere. How much we are wasting unnecessarily on diesel power, captive power plant, because we are not using it. Go and see the grid of London, go see a grid of America, how they are doing. Our grid is 2,34,000 megawatts. Out of that, what is the demand we are meeting today? Hardly 124. More than 30% plants are under shutdown or under implementation stage. You have to study those things. Unnecessary, we are telling we are having this much. But what is your efficiency you are achieving? And that is why our economy is going bad to worse day by day. Today, I have not calculated, but 2012 I had calculated. But today, more than 5 lakh crore is debt on different utility electricity boards. From where they will survive? All bankers have given. All accounts will become NPA.
What's your view on it? Because one...
My view is that visionaries should lead the country.
Yes.
All pressure should be
That's right.
on this issue, 2 pipes, and we should also try for nuclear, so that during daytime we should use nuclear on all the places which are not being used properly.
Because
So nuclear is going to be the another source of enormous energy in future, and storage will give tremendous results.
So
Energy must be over there at your end, please. Any questions?
Good afternoon, sir. I would like to ask one question that last month the whole India, the grid frequencies common, now synchronized. So what are the disadvantages of that thing? Just 30th of July 2012, the grid collapse has occurred in northern and northeast region. Now the all India frequency is synchronized at one frequency. So what are the chances?
Single national grid, whether it benefits or not. Am I right? That's what you're asking.
Yes.
He's asking single national grid benefits or not.
Just national grid actually helps. What happens? Once you have a national grid, try to understand this technology of the power sector. If 3% load is thrown out of fault in generators and transmission lines, then 1 hertz frequency goes down. If your grid is very, very big, I mean more than 5 lakh megawatt, in that case, you will not have more effect on frequency. Just like America. In New York, it has grid of 8 lakh megawatt. If even 40,000 megawatt is load is thrown out,
Nothing
it
happens.
will not have effect of more than 0.1 or 0.2 hertz. That's why America has issued a regulation that once generator, that system frequency is 0.5% up or down, up to that it should limit the generation. Once it is less than that, either upper side or lower side, please take out the generator. What happens? Why I have told you about the hydro? Just try to understand. One national grid is bigger and bigger. There was a time there were no grid discipline, state-wise was separate. Now 5 grids are there. Now all 5 grids are integrated in this country. That's why you are not realizing more failure of power, but sometimes it happens because we have loss of hydro, especially that reservoir as well as pumped storage. That's why whenever collapse comes, it will be for 3 days, 4 days. And it has happened to come. Because it is just like you cannot have good climate today. Now I'm telling you one thing, I have been member of that. Climate change, it has also have tremendous effect on our country, all throughout the world. And we have forecasted it 5 years back. I was vice president of all the world IHA, when I was chairman of the NHPC. And that time also we have predicted that climate change will come, it will have tremendous effect on the environment. And it is having. Now we are saying it, record is getting broken every state and country, and that's why world is today worried. Now America and China, Japan, along with India, they are going to join hands. They will spend money how to curb the environmental changes, what efforts we should do. Because we need lot of thought. Here, politics will not work, it is a technology which is going to work. That's what, but national grid in any way is going to help this nation. Tell me, what is your other question?
Sir, my next question is that implementation of division management, this settlement is imposed on 17th midnight from now.
You're talking of the grid code, right?
Yes, this division settlement.
Grid code he answered already, you know.
Grid code.
Okay, so what is the impact of this on grid?
The country is not prepared. We are underprepared. That's what he's saying.
But it is already imposed on 17th of February.
You will be violators.
Just I'm here, I will explain you. Grid code technically, whatever regulation has been made, CRC has made, that is correct. If you go to that side, because once you 50.05 range, your machine will not be operated even for 25 years. Because synchronous speed machine, especially maintained, because the speed of the machine depends on the frequency. Power is a peculiar thing where you cannot store it. You have to store it in some form, as pump storage scheme, storage scheme. That's why once frequency is limited within some range, variation especially takes place in thermal and nuclear, because these are very high speed machines. Their RPM is 3000. American machine RPM is 3600, 3600. And hydro or renewable machines speed are less because number of poles in hydro is multiple 20, 40, 60. But in thermal nuclear, number of poles is only 2, and the speed of the machine is 120 F by P. P means number of poles, F means frequency. Try to understand the mathematics. That's why highest speed machine get damaged quickly. That's why the problem. That's why we should, everybody think we should visualize how we can maintain the thing. That's why in all the world it is told that if frequency goes beyond 0.5, generators should be taken out. And once the system collapses, then you need a startup power. For that capability is only with hydro and gas. But unfortunately, in our nation, we don't have enough gas. So we have to depend on that. And we have many hydro projects with pump storage and storage schemes. But unfortunately, our leaders could not visualize that. Everybody is not like Nehru. Nehru has visualized that BBMB had come and then power sector. That lot of vision is required. And I want today the youngsters should think on it. And while you are selecting your leaders, you must think 10 times. Don't go on caste line, any line. Think that who is a real leader whom to rule.
Any more questions, please? Yeah.
So myself, Professor Jionathan Joshi. So I am from academic institute only. So my question is, why not a single STATCOM device, static compensator device, is installed in India? Because only static device can meet the reactive power demand exactly. A fixed capacitor can't. What is the reason why not a single STATCOM device is installed in India?
Fax devices. Professor, you asking about fax devices, yes. STATCOM. Okay. So why your question is why they are not provided? See, so you are a professor, so you want that this technology should be available. Fine. Let me go to the history. See, we are a poor country, and you must, as a professor, must know reactive power should not flow from high voltage network to low voltage network. Reactive power must be provided at the load point. Okay. So our Indian focus in the electricity system focus has been that we provide capacitors at the load points, and that is correct also. So that's what tariff also is also quite depends on the reactive industrial loads. Wherever there is a motor, they have been mandated. It's mandatory. They have to provide a reactive power support in the form of capacitors. They provide the reactive power, right? So let me complete. So that is the one need of immediately for the country when it is putting up a system. Our system has not become so large. Our system has become large for last I think 10 years. We have put up a capacitor of 50,000 megawatt recently, last 5 years plan. Prior to that 20,000 megawatt, 23,000. So if you minus it, so our grid has been only 1,60,000 megawatt, out of which operation may be hardly 80-90 lakh megawatt, 80,000 megawatt. So that is one part. Second, so STATCOM per se is required in the high voltage system, what you are telling. We can provide at 11 kV also. Some of the experiments have come. That is one thing. So now coming to the high voltage, we are focused on not on the STATCOM. First we have gone to the how we can increase the capacity, transmission line capacity. That's why we are focused on initially in the country on thyristor series compensation. Okay. So we have put up those projects. We have also focused on fixed compensation. Okay. Fixed series compensation project in some of the part of the country. So STATCOM is the development which has come up for a very dynamic reactive power management, right? And there was, so far need was not felt because that is one part. Now in the country, let me give you information. Now in the country, after the grid collapse, okay, simultaneously many actions are going on. Okay, one of the action now fax devices which is left is voltage source converter. Then is this STATCOM. Okay, and this STATCOM we are providing now 17 projects in the country. Costly, that's what I told you, we as a poor country, we could not provide something just for providing. The theoretical book we are reading. We are providing only when it is really needed, because we have to uniformly, even as a common man in how whatever you do your daily livelihood, spend your money according to your need, which are necessity. So this country has to spend money wherever is needed. Now we have a money or technology is coming. So 17 projects which we can share with you, GETCO engineers are here. By Kalsaria, you can give him a list. In the country, plus minus 400 MVR, 17 STATCOM projects will be installed at 400 kV level, for which work specification, all these companies have been asked to prepare specification and all. The tender may come. So another 4 to 5 years, your dream will be fulfilled with these STATCOM projects.
Thank you. Any more questions, please?
I can ask one question to, sir, if you don't mind, I think I want to ask one question to you, sir. Sir, this Uttaranchal collapse which has happened. So, since hydro, one side there has been international lobby that not allowing us to put up hydro project. That issue was not discussed, but that is my perception. But the way hydro projects are done in Uttaranchal and how we damage the environment, I want to ask you that. Sir, why this balance? Now, one side you are promoting these projects and you have pleaded. I want to ask you, have you done justice by putting hydro plant in such a bad way and destroying the environment? And what is your way forward advice for that now?
Very good question he has asked. Just I want to tell you, because he has asked the question, how hydro projects are damaging the environment. Just here I am telling you, we have many things we are discussing. Hydro projects never damages the environment. I am just proving it. I have been doing the work as chairman of the NHPC, and I have worked throughout the country. Many places may not be that Gujarat I have not done, but nowhere environment has been damaged, because when we are taking the environment clearance, we are taking all precautions required for that. We do proper study. If somebody does not do the study, and even after some study, if they do not work and they do bad implementation of the plan, then technology should not be blamed. What had happened to Uttaranchal, I was advisor to the Chief Minister. I have seen there was a Maneri Valley project after my retirement from NHPC, and that was languishing since last 30 years. State government engineers do not have proper knowledge about the project. They are implementing it. I got it completed in 8 months' time. Only because they don't have knowledge. They are going to have a steel liner for 1 kilometer. I told them how it is possible. Unless the coverage is more than 5 times in hill area, we should not put liner. Finally, I allowed only 60-minute liner. Just see, if you are going to put 1 kilometer liner, how it is possible to do that welding and everything at tunnel? Many people will die. So question is how you are implementing and how much training you have taken about implementation. Because hydro, normally it is not making road, nala, it is like that. For that lot of studies required. You have to understand how I will implement, and you have to have proper knowledge. Because today Kedarnath temple, lot of devotion has taken place, but there was no hydro. Many people are mistaken. And Supreme Court has ordered, because the judges do not know everything, that there should not be any hydro, because they don't know the problems. If Uttarakhand, I'm telling you for today, water, load factor is after Uttaranchal, Arunachal, it is the second highest. And if all the hydro of Uttarakhand are developed properly, there will not be any disaster, and it will be the richest state like Switzerland, Norway. I have gone to all places. I have seen their working. The question is, you have to learn the technology. Don't blame the technology. Unless you know the technology, how to implement it, it will not be done. Even French had come in NHPC time, in much earlier, and at that time I was only chief engineer. And they wanted to complete the Dulasi project in 5 years. Finally, they could not, they failed. And during my chairmanship, I got it done. Because it was a big tunnel of 9 kilometers, I told, no, let there be some arrangement from the top of the hill for giving oxygen to the people. so that they can implement the project inside. Because temperature was increased. The technology you have to understand. If you are not using technology, it is not easy thing. Making hydro is not easy. Life of lakhs of the people are involved. If you don't apply proper technology in making dam, now we know in the entire world, cold International Commission on Large Dam is made where 104 countries are the members. Why it is not made for others? Because dam technology is very, very difficult. And I have written an article on dam technology. For that I got the Gold Award and first Asian to got this award. Because I have given proper things, how to implement, how to do this. So unless you do all these things, don't blame the technology. There by time, heart of pressure was very difficult. Now there is time. It is very easy now. The question is how much interest you are going to take, how you are going to implement, and the question is hydro initially is very costly, capital intensive, that you have to go particular location. So once you develop the hydro project, for that engineer it needs lot of training, lot of expenditure is there, but later on it becomes very cheap. Unless that feeling comes, today you are adding hydro is 8 crore per megawatt. But you are knowing what is your expenditure on machine. Almost, if you take the work of the project only, it is hardly 4 crore to 5 crore.
That's right.
But development of road, making other facilities to make it workable, all the expenditure are there. Even Arunachal Pradesh, there was 76,000 megawatt. I have written to the government, you have to make road, you have to make dam on the river, bridges on the river, so that material could reach the site. But they could not understand. And that benefit China has taken from Tibet. They have made 7 projects from the Brahmaputra.
Sir, what's your view? What's your view on United Nations? They have, alarmed and issued a warning to Indian government that there are many of the private PPP hydropower projects in Uttarakhand, including infrastructures. They are quite dangerous because they are not passing environmental things.
The whole thing is there is lot of politics going on everywhere.
Okay, and
I'm just telling you, I have been with the United Nations people.
Okay.
They are all tourists. Nobody has done the work.
I see.
Just they are talking.
Okay.
Last Mr. Alam was my minister in 1998 and CSCWC I told them regarding Jamera project, tunnel cannot be repaired.
And one
charge Chelsea and I met the challenge and I got it repaired. Okay. The question is, if you don't know the technology, it's very easy to tell.
That's all.
Oh, it is useless. Try to understand. Not at all. I'm ready to prove it before anybody. If some honest man comes. The question is, if something comes, people do lot of politics. People want to become consultant, give wrong advices. See, if you are designing a dam, you must implement the project as per your design. If you are not going to do honest working and as per technical requirement, it will fail, then you say the dam has failed.
Professor,
understand.
Professor Saab, I think he is busy. Yeah. Professor, yes, sir. I think the one very you should do. No, I suggest you bring on environmentalist and today is eye opener is telling what is so far we have been hearing in TV, listening and seeing that these hydro projects, you know, it has retarded now. Progress has retarded. People are very much against hydro projects, and now you must bring environmentalist, contractors, experts like Shah on the scale and let them show how they, no, I think it's very important. Otherwise this sector will not move.
Yes.
One thing I tell you, I have advised Uttarakhand government, the proper catchment area treatment should be made. Then floods will be controlled, erosion will not be there, but these babus, these IS people, don't allow
that's right.
These babus are damaging the nation.
No, because this
because they are the policy makers. Those ministers feel they are if they are putting their sign, I am safe. And they think that we are the most intelligent people. It is not at all. They have damaged India. Now technical people have been given respect in China, given respect in Japan, given respect in America. Go and inquire. then they see that those countries have developed. In our countries, technical people are completely not respected at all. Who is the most respected in America is doctors, engineers. That's why that country has developed.
Yeah, Dr. Sharma, you have one.
You have to face the truth. Unless you face the truth, the Babu will love the country, it will go like. Just see, I don't know where he is, Mr. Rajiv Gupta. I have told you that, kindly give his number. He was Secretary Power in 2004 when Modi Sahib has called me to this state and I have come to Bhavnagar, I have given lecture regarding Tulsar project. Hey, what will happen, but that was one of the best. That day I told that Modi Sahib is very visionary. I can really change. I have changed the Gujarat. Just I am telling you, I am not for politics or anything. Maybe anybody talking Congress, BJP, I don't mind. But I want a leader who is visionary, who can give a right direction to the country, should be respected.
Sir, Bhutan had wonderful hydro projects. Why not Uttarakhand?
Why, sir?
Yeah, Dr. Sharma, you are also having questions. Yeah.
No,
he is asking some other questions.
Sir, my request is to Professor Iyer. This is the very good platform. Here I want to put up 3 questions and some 3 issues. One is that the energy is used practically 70 to 75% in rotating machines. So energy efficient motors should be made compulsory, and the industries who are manufacturing in Gujarat energy efficient motor, they should be promoted. That is one issue. Second, I have tested around thousands and thousands of digital energy meters in Ahmedabad, and I found that 20 to 25% digital meters are found defective. Why this issue should not be brought to the government? Third, wherever the energy efficient, wherever the energy motors are being used, the energy efficient motor should be used. A last request is that, because this is the good platform, the issues raised by Mr. Prasad, they should be pointed out, and there is a separate system in our country. Judiciary is very powerful. These points should be laid down, and PIL should be put up against the central government or the bodies, so that the issues can be sorted out.
I can show you there is a white paper which is being delivered officially to the Ministry of Power, to the help of Prasad and others, and if they don't act on that white paper, I can assure you PIL will come.
And Professor, he is the person who has filed the PIL on this energy efficient motor and PIS with the scam. Yeah, he is the person, and he is basically he was a chairman of EQDC where he tested all the meters.
1 minute. Because people have raised the Uttarakhand, just I am telling you, if Tehri Dam would not have been built, your Hardwar and Rishikesh would not be there. I am telling you frankly.
Yes, absolutely.
Delhi partially would have been damaged, but because of Tehri Dam, Hardwar and Rishikesh was saved. Why Tehri Dam has not failed? Because the quality work was done by the central government organization. So if state not functioning, why the technology should be blamed? Because in a state government.
Still one question? Yeah.
Let's see. If a state government I have seen, if somebody is sent for training, they don't clear their file. In hydro, a lot of training is required. And when I was chairman, I put a special consideration on designs, and those who were very engineers in design, they were given a special preference. And as a result, NHPC would have become a best organization in the country. After my leaving, it is the worst organization.
Okay.
So my question is, you said that Hardwar and Rishikesh were saved because of Tehri Dam, but I think that comes under the seismic zone 5. So in case of earthquakes, what would happen to Tehri Dam? I don't know about the design procedure, the steps that you might have taken. So it can under, of the Richter scale 9 or 7, if we have an earthquake of high magnitude.
Here, you are talking of seismic zone. That's why I have told you earlier that if proper catchment area treatment is done, seismic zone law will not affect. See, problems are there, but you have to apply proper technology. On that issue I have spoken. A proper catchment area treatment should be done. Then only it will be proper. Just I am telling you that we are not using proper technology. If you are not having a good doctor, treatment will not be better. You not know, say that treatment is not there. What is happening? Just in America, doctors have to appear for the exam every 10 years. In America and London, doctors have to appear after 10 years for renewal of their licenses. And American experts committees see that they are properly remembering the latest medicine, latest technology. Then only the licenses are
renewed.
In India, once you are a doctor, MBBS, you are master with many people are dying whether you are knowing anything or not. This is the question. Question is, we have to train proper manpower. Today we have a lot of private engineering colleges where anybody is getting degree and now he is coming to the job doing nothing. All bridges are getting broken. In our time, if you have less than 61 marks, you can't apply for engineering colleges admission. Now today, third-class engineers are coming in the market and they are not implementing the thing. Everybody has blamed technology. Just blame our country. Because we are not taking to the quality picture. People are after earning money. That's why everything is happening.
Okay friends, thank you very much. We will conclude this session. And I think we close this session, but I have gifts for all my dignitaries on the dais. May I request people to bring it here. First, may I request a small, I would say book, but a big book in terms of idea for Prakashan Tata ji. First for Prakashan Tata, please bring it. I will request Yogendra Prasad ji to please give this to him. Prakashan Tata, please, good picture opportunity. The next one I would request Prakashan Tata ji to also give to Yogendra Prasad ji. So because the seniors have to exchange, we can't reward them. May I request Hetal Mehta ji to come over and give to the other dignitaries on the dais. First for Avi Sabawala, please. May I request the next one for S.K. Negi ji, please. May I request Gurdeep Singh ji to please receive the next one from Hetal Mehta ji. May I have the next one for Shri Rajiv Srivastava ji, please. Yeah, could you bring the next ones? I would actually request Jahangir Parabia Saab to please come over and honor two of our speakers here, sir, please. Please give a big hand to Jahangir bhai. Please come over, sir. For Sri Raman Bhardwaj. The next one for Sri U.C. Jain from Narmada, Sada Sarovar. May I also request one book for Sri Hetal Mehta, please. Sir, I will lead you for one more minute. May I call Dr. B.G. Desai. Please have a picture opportunity.
So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon seem inevitable. Christopher Reeve. 30th December 2010. Foundation ceremony of Gujarat's solar park. "12 months later, 28th January 2012. 214 megawatts of solar power commissioned at world's first multi-developer, multi-facility, multi-technology, multi-beneficiary solar park at Charanka village, District Patan, Gujarat. 19th April 2012. Gujarat dedicates 500 megawatt power generation capacity to the nation, as Asia's largest solar park is formally inaugurated in Gujarat.
We are doing this mainly to contribute in the war against global warming and climate change.
The story of Gujarat's solar park is a historic feat in itself. Visualized, planned and swiftly implemented in record time of under a year. The most notable aspects were its execution and the political willingness to go the extra mile. A plethora of complexities had to be resolved before the park could see the light of day. Acquiring land, developing infrastructure, and handing over plots to individual developers had to be done simultaneously, while sensitively handling the issue of encroachment of land pockets by locals. Approach and internal roads had to be built. Reservoirs and systems for storing, treating, and distributing water had to be created. The project site fronted the desert of Kutch, and harsh weather conditions proved to be major constraints, with frequent flooding and the remoteness of the village adding to construction costs. Total quality management played a crucial part in achieving the success of the project with a regularly monitored, web-based system specially developed to ensure the timely accessibility of both data and information. While 1,500 laborers diligently worked round the clock, developers were taken into confidence through periodic meetings where they were updated regarding the project's development and revisions at every stage. A team of experienced officials were available on-site 24/7 to promptly address clearance and approval issues. This helped to eliminate redundancies and reduce the duplication of efforts. Activities were completed within the scheduled time frame as every member of the project worked steadfastly around bottlenecks and ensured that the project was commissioned within schedule. A win-win project for all segments, the solar park saw many far-reaching consequences. Uniquely integrating environment, infrastructure, and social perspectives, the park led to vast areas of government wasteland being put to good use with gainful employment benefiting larger rural sections and communication networks and irrigation water flowing through villages.
This innovative approach will contribute to India's energy requirements and will create jobs and welfare without generating additional greenhouse gas emissions.
As a prime example of energy conservation, with rainwater harvesting, carbon emission reduction, and groundwater recharge happening on a continual scale, the Gujarat Solar Park at Charanka bears testimony to one truth, that harnessing divine energies is the only way forward. And having the courage to go beyond one step today is the only way to a better tomorrow. Gujarat Solar Park at Charanka, partnering a journey of brilliance.